This Coast to Coast Entertainment Network program is brought to you by Beside Me Bracelets. Our bracelets are handmade for any occasion. Use the promo code Coast to Coast for 15% off. Visit their website at besideme.com. Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry. With 24-hour shopping available, use the code 160920 and show her some love, like she showed us. Reaper Apparel Company, a commitment to live your most authentic way every single day. Visit reaperapparelco.com for more information and a look at all of their apparel offerings. And by Good Day Embroidery, your local source for custom embroidery, screen printing, and more. Log on to gooddayembroidery.com for more information. We're back from the weekend, and we're ready to roll with another week of coast-to-coast programming on a beautiful Monday evening in Southern California. Welcome back in, folks, to C2C at Night, alongside that man, James Gonzales, up in Oceanside, California. Yours truly, Callan and McClurg, back here with you in San Diego. Mr. Gonzales, what a weekend it was, my friend, across the sports world. We're doing the Grand Circle Tour again, my man, on a Monday night. So much news going on from the baseball winter meetings. The NFL is in full swing as you move towards the playoff picture becoming a bit more closer into focus. The NBA Cup quarterfinals await on Tuesday. The NHL sees a couple of trades go down, and MLS has once again crowns a champion. And what do we make of the CFP playoff bracket and also the shakeups in top 25 men's college basketball? Big game, James. You completed your own Grand Circle Tour of the sports world over the weekend, my man. Good to see you, my friend. How are we doing tonight?
Yeah, I'll talk about that more with the random topic of the night. I worked today early, and everything paid off, but I'm just dead tired. I took a nap during the Monday night game, and thank God I did. So I'm just happy to be here with the lights on. I'm all festive. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, James has been festive all basically since our first show in December, I think. By about a week or so ago. I think after Thanksgiving, he was already in the Christmas spirit as well, as a lot of people usually do. With that, folks, in mind again here on C2C at Night. Again, myself and James come at you on Monday evenings at 10 o'clock Pacific time to recap both the day that was in sports, but also the weekend that was, and get you all caught up here on a Monday evening at 10 o'clock Pacific time. A couple of business notes first, though, folks, before we get into our content tonight. We're near the holidays. So with that in mind, folks, here is where things stand. As it stands right now for the end of the year, our final program for us two leading up into the holiday season will officially be in 2 weeks' time on December 23rd at 10 p.m. My final program on Press Row will be on basically 2 days before the new year on December 30th. We'll have more about that, folks, later, so we can just kind of have that in your back pocket as we, in fact, go on and prolong here on C2C programming. A huge thank you to our good man, the King is here. Casey King joins us here. Big game, James. He says, good evening, guys. And first off, what a great weekend to hang out with you guys over the weekend at the Gulls and Rain hockey game. Glad to be tuning into your guys' show at 11 o'clock back over in the great state of Arizona. So, Case, good to have you, my man, and thanks for being on board here tonight. And again, we'll talk more about the boys' weekend a little bit later in the show during Off the Board here tonight. With that, though, James, the baseball winter meetings officially in full swing. But, of course, my man, the massive bombshell dropped on Sunday evening, going into the early morning on Monday. Juan Soto does not wait, my friend. A 15-year, $765 million deal to go to the New York Mets, who take the big swing and snag away Soto from the Yankees. Talks, James, of there being one more year with less money with the Yankees. Soto getting one fewer year, $5 million more. A lot of other opt-out clauses are in about 5 years into the deal, courtesy of Scott Boras. And, James, more importantly, we'll get to Soto and the whole thing with the Mets here in a second. But most importantly, James, hallelujah, if you're a baseball fan. We actually have player movement going on day one of the winter meetings. And I think, James, what a stark difference it has been over the last couple of days, even after the World Series ended. The Angels were busy in the hive after the World Series ended. Other teams have made moves, as is now, though, James, you go to the winter meetings, and even before they officially open for business late Sunday night is when the bomb gets dropped about Juan Soto heading to the Mets from the Bronx, over with the Yankees to the Mets. Again, 15 years, $765 million deal, man. I think I might be a year or two off, though. But, James, it was pretty insane that I think we kind of all thought it was going to be the Mets, because I think we have heard, though, James, Steve Cohen willing to spend the big money. Who cares about the luxury tax? Let's just go out here and do it. The only problem I have, though, James, with it, that lineup is still not as scary as people might think. I love Lindor, though, being in that order. But after Soto and Lindor and maybe Mark Vientos, that lineup doesn't have a whole lot of oomph or thump behind it, if you really do ask me. But, James, we'll talk more about the Mets. We'll talk more about Soto in a second. But, James, first and foremost, of course, initial and overall reaction. Juan Soto goes from the Bronx to Queens for 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I knew a lot of Yankee fans that assumed that he would come back. And then I was telling them, hey, you know what? He's just wanting to go whoever offers him the most. And that's basically what he did. It was not going to be, one of these deals where he takes less to go for a winner, even though he said, hey, in October, I just want to play for a winner. I'll go wherever, there's a winner. And you go from the team that went to the World Series to the team that lost, in the second round or divisional round or whatever it was. It's I'm sorry. What was it? The wild card, the Mets lost.
They got knocked out of the NLCS.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, against LA. It's been so long, but this is my favorite time of year. I'm just happy there's been moves already. I'm just happy about that because we have something to talk about. And, Soto being the biggest draw, I read something too. I think it was on Saturday. Soto, Boris, and I think two of Soto's friends were sitting at a table. And it looked like Soto was like really thinking about something. He was looking at a paper or something like that. And it was probably the Mets offer compared to the Yankees offer,
Boston, maybe the Dodgers.
But then I heard today he didn't look interested in the Boston being at Fenway, being with the Red Sox. And then Blue Jays, even though they're in everything supposedly for free agents, nobody's going to go there. So, and Soto, I think, being a Dodger, I don't think that was going to happen anymore because they want to sign others or they have their minds on others. So I'm just happy that they got the big domino out of the way, and it just led to a flurry of moves today. But I don't know if you wanted to talk about the contract now, but
please do.
Yeah, 15 years. He'll be 41 at the end of it because he's 26 now. $765 million, more than Shohei's contract. But I think Shohei is more important. I think Shohei would deserve more money than Soto, I would think. And then I was thinking
I agree 100%.
I was thinking to myself, okay, what players in the league are better than Juan Soto? I know he hit 283 or something like that.
41 homers, but that's in a bandbox ballpark for left-hand hitters. I wonder, though, James, if this is one of those deals, though, that maybe like Harper, Machado, maybe burns a team in the rear. Now, what I will say, though, James, is, and this was, I think, talked about on a different platform, and I had to kind of give my 2 cents to the one of the hosts of the program, was, of course, it gets back thrown in my face. How can the Padres not afford to sign Juan Soto? I mean, look at all the other massive contracts that Peter Seidler and AJ Preller gave out to Machado, Tatis, Sander Bogarts right before Peter, I think, had passed away, this past year, is, I would have taken Soto over Machado. James, I know too many people within the Padre organization, and even not even just that, James, what I had heard from sources of mine who work in local media here with radio and TV. The one thing, though, that always came up about Juan Soto, great player on the field, though he can't play defense and can't run. It's the infamous C word in sports, James. Cancer. That's what you can't have in a locker room for a long season like baseball. And not just that, though, James, the reason why I also think away from the Padres and their payroll disparity with them trading Soto, Soto wanted to be the guy. That was not possible in San Diego. You know, you can't have that many combustible elements or that many superstars on one team. This isn't Shaq and Kobe with the Lakers. This isn't Brady and Gronk with New England, for example. You know, you can't have Tatis and Machado, Bogarts, and then Soto be your four horsemen. Now, again, it could have worked out, but obviously it didn't. But that's the main thing, though, James, that I heard from inside sources within both the Padre organization and also within local media and TV. Soto was a very big cancer, very much an arrogant, kind of pompous, kid, basically, who didn't really give time to the media, was always late to team activities, was always having his family come in and basically hog a family room by the Padre clubhouse, during games or after games would be over. He was very standoffish. And James, the telling sign about Juan Soto's tenure in San Diego, though it was cool, he had the game-tying double or game-tying hit that propelled the Pods to knock out LA in 2022. My telling sign of Juan Soto's time in San Diego was a quote to Kevin Acee and Dennis Lin after they got beat by the Mariners in early August of 2023. Yeah, we just quit tonight. Maybe we'll get him tomorrow. We just quit. We fall behind 1-0. Game's over. No one cares. Yeah, like you want to have that kind of a player around your roster or on your team. Have fun, Mets, but it's not cracked up to be what it's supposed to be. So, as much as people love to slight my franchise in San Diego, I think we look like, a fresh bouquet of roses on Valentine's Day or Mother's Day that you give to your mom or your spouse on Valentine's Day or Mother's Day. Is that return that we got, minus losing Higashioka? I think I'd take that every day of the week that ends in the letter Y.
Yeah, you have to look back, at the Yankees trade, and you get Michael King. You got rid of Trent Grisham and the low average there. But yeah, Juan Soto's average 288. He drove in 109, 41 home runs, like you mentioned, 128 runs scored. He gets 75 million signing bonus. I saw no deferred money, thank God. And then he has that intriguing opt-out opportunity after 2029. So when he's 31, Mets can bump
the pay up like $4 million to $55 million a year.
Yeah, so it would be like what 800 million mark. It would go over that if that's the case in 5 years. I think all the pompous and arrogant attitude, it'll work in New York.
But it didn't fly in DC, and it sure as hell didn't work in San Diego.
It would work more with the Yankees than it would the Mets. The fans would turn on him. I know he hit well there from what I've heard and what I remember with the Nats, but the Met fans hated Lindor and Javi Baez, giving them the thumbs down after fans gave the players the thumb down.
About that too.
So I always remember that. I remember Juan Soto mentioning that after that loss in 2022 Seattle against the Mariners. I remember that. I'm thinking, oh, okay, it sounds like he wants to be here, not. But again, I'm thinking to myself, okay, how many players are better than Juan Soto in the league right now?
I want to give an Ohtani like $800 million. I think Ohtani has way more value to your club, and I think that Ohtani was smart by, no, you can give me the money, but it must be deferred so we can go and add more pieces. Call it what you want, folks, but it's part of baseball, and stuff like that. Though I will, again, take the steel chair and rail against the Dodgers and even now the Mets about, getting, players with those mega salaries. Though, again, the Padres have plenty of those too, though. But I think, though, James, regardless of that, I really wonder, though, if Steve Cohen, I hope he comes out looking like a genius. But like I said, I think after Soto and Lindor and maybe Mark Vientos, with the uncertainty about Pete Alonso, I don't think, though, that it's all so far looking good for the Mets, though. I like that they've added a couple of arms to the rotation. The bullpen is still a little bit of work in progress. Again, Edwin Diaz is coming off of that ACL injury he suffered a couple of years ago in the WBC. So I hope that it works out, but yeah, I just really hope that the Mets know what they're kind of getting because of what we have seen, like with the antics of Soto in San Diego in 23 and then this past year in New York. And I think, James, the reason why he left the Yankees, that's Aaron Judge's team. The Padres are Manny Machado's team. He wants to be the guy. I don't know if we can still call, or if we can call the Mets Lindor's team. It's more Pete Alonso's team. But again, he's a free agent. So I think mainly, James, he wanted to go not just for the money, but to be the guy. Again, if he goes to the Dodgers, he's behind Ohtani and Betts and Freeman and all their cast and crew. He stays in San Diego, he's behind Machado and Tatis and Xander Bogaerts, Joe Musgrove, for example. I mean, if he goes to the Mets, then maybe that does work out. But I really, James, I really think Ohtani would have been worth way more than this, because I don't really think that Soto's worth that much money, sadly.
Well, Ohtani pitches too. I just had a That's So Raven moment where, Soto's playing in right field and he botched, a couple of balls that went over his head and didn't seem like he went for him with the effort.
I think he did that in the playoff game and it cost him a run.
Yeah, I could see the fans in right field giving Soto crap for that and throwing money, whatever the case is.
Feel like A-Rod all over again with the monopoly, the monopoly money again.
It's just amazing though. What was A-Rod like? 242? No,
10 years, 242 with Texas, and then he was dealt 3 years later.
Yeah, just those contracts.
And that contract, James, and I read a story from Front Office Sports today, James. That contract almost forced a labor stoppage in 2002 because the teams and the Players Association were like, "Wait a minute, what's going on?"
Yeah, I remember that because no one else got that, and now you see
Rangers had to go to bankruptcy court because of that contract.
I can see that. Yeah, just those numbers are wild. I thought the Pujols contract, 10 for 275 was wild.
Josh Hamilton's
Trout's not so much, but Trout's contract was what, 426,
425 million over 12 years,
425, and that hasn't worked out, and he's too loyal. So these things in the long run, I think the Padres eventually is going to find out with Machado and especially Tatis Jr. later on in the future.
And I still think, though, that even despite, I think Machado is still produced, though, despite the contract. I know he had the opt-out. Then Peter Seiler's last gift to the team before he passed was the extension he gave Manny last season. And I still think, though, that even though he's still in his early 30s, I mean, he still hit 30 homers last year,
right.
broke a 50-year single season home run, or the franchise home run record last season. I think with Fernando, with him coming back, though, and I know he still has his injury problems, though, but and he still, though, man, plays the game hard. I still think that those deals will be fine, though, going forward. But again, I know that people could say it's not going to be sustainable, and obviously the Padres will be in a similar spot like last year to 2025 with, holes to fill, tight budget and stuff. But I mean, if there's any indication, James, that's still a ball club on a shoestring budget last year that won 93 games last season.
Yeah. Okay. So with Harper, it kind of reminds me of that move going from, Washington.
Harper's got no opt-outs.
Yeah.
He's stuck there.
That
Machado at least had the opt-out clause, and now Soto has that opt-out clause, I think, after 5 years.
Right. So in division, he went, but this was years in between for Soto. So I wonder if the Mets fans, they really just, they'll say, well, it's okay. Just win some World Series here. We'll forgive you for 2019. And then I was seeing videos all Sunday night of Yankee fans, being
burning
jerseys, being outside Citi Field, talking about, hey, this is your new home now. It's a pile of crap around the neighborhood. But I want to see what they do with Pete Alonso. It seemed like, though, in the playoffs or whatever, it seemed like that was his last at bat. It really did. I don't know where he's going to go, but now you look at the Yankees. I feel like Christian Walker is a good fit for them. He doesn't play around. He doesn't BS around like in the dugout, or he doesn't like to have fun, it looks like. He's serious business, and he produces. He just looks like a New York Yankee to me. I think he's already clean shaven as well. So I think that's going to be their corresponding move. Get another outfitter, of course. So I don't think the Yankees, I think I heard, probably going to get 3 or 4 free agents out there. Maybe Jurickson
recoup the loss of Soto and put it towards restocking, where you need to restock. I mean, I think Alonso could be a good fit there. I know there's going to be a bit of a market for first baseman probably. I do like Walker probably going there, though I think his bat plays better still in Phoenix, but with his injury problems this past year, who really knows? But again, folks, first big domino of the baseball offseason fell before the winter meetings even opened up for operation on Monday. Juan Soto to the Mets, 15 years, $765 million, including a $75 million signing bonus on top of also the fact of him getting a opt-out clause as well, which could bump up his pay to $55 million annually in the next 5 years. All right, James, plenty of comments from our fans already. My good man Brent DeMoss first says that Soto did not defer his money because he wants the money. Well, James also look at his agent, Scott Boras.
It seems like with Boras, it doesn't matter where the person goes or how they feel comfortable
Maybe
about
minus Snell going to the Dodgers because he did defer some money there.
Yeah, but they'll say, hey, just get the most we can because I need to pay off the payments for the yacht and the car, whatever, the house. Yeah, so he always gets the most for his clients.
Casey also says, James, insane deal for Soto. Had the feeling that the Mets would get him, go all out and get him, and I'm glad the Dodgers did not get him as I think he was all about the money. And I also, like I said, though, James, it goes to my point, though, Soto would be the 3rd or 4th lead act. It's Ohtani, it's Betts, it's Freeman, it's Muncy, it's Chris Taylor. He would have been like bottom of the barrel again. Like I said, Juan Soto did not want to go to a market like LA or even back to San Diego where he would be lost in the shuffle because everyone already loves and admires, those players who already were playing there. And like I said, that's why I think that the 2023 Padres were like a microcosm of, why Soto did not fit well here because he wanted to be all about himself, a la Joel Embiid. But also he was behind Manny and Fernando and even Bogarts and Cronenworth when it came to like fan base popularity is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I'm getting the image of, the Dodger fans wanting Juan Soto at the All-Star game in 2022 at Dodger Stadium. And going or trade to the Padres and then trade to the Yankees and, and the Dodger fans still didn't get him. But they got the ring. So that's, I guess, more important.
Really and
that Ohtani. Yeah.
Casey also says, I'm now just hoping that the Dodgers can bring Teoscar Hernandez back, which right now, per reports, they're at a gap. They have paused talks per MLBTradeRumors.com, and their writers who are in Dallas, reports have come out, though, that they're kind of, in a way, fighting over money. What else is new? I wonder, though, James, if, I mean, he's going to have to get paid. And I just don't know if the Dodgers, you really can't say, can't really count the Dodgers out, though. But I wonder, though, if this little snag that they've hit on just day one of the winter meetings, though, would become something because now that Soto's off the board, what maybe happens here. But I don't know how to feel about this, though. Like, I think he's obviously very well liked in Los Angeles after the year that he had last season. But now, though, hearing that they're very far apart on negotiating right now, I don't really think that's a very good thing right now at this rate.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this because of how much he meant to the 2024 Dodgers. The fact that he fit in so well with the team. He played tremendous offense and defense, of course, in left field. He was loved by the Dodger fans. And he was crying at the parade from all the emotion of the season, from winning the championship. So that's something to think about there when it comes to, all these free agent moves and trades. There's emotions with it. There's families moved with it, right? So it's going to be a thing for him. It's going to be tough to leave, but I'm trying to figure out how much he made last year. Of course, that's a boost up. Was it he wanted 30 a year, and the Dodgers aren't going to do that?
Like 30 or 38 million.
They're trying to get at least to 26 or less. They're not trying to get over 27, in my opinion. I don't know if he goes back to the Blue Jays, but the Blue Jays are hungry for anybody right now. But it's just weird because he didn't have that same production like he did with all the, protection in LA. So I don't know if he would have the same production elsewhere. That's
James. I also wonder though if, and I think the reason why they've hit a snag in negotiations, they just signed Michael Conforto to a $17 million 1-year flyer.
That was stupid. I don't get that. I don't get the Giants moves. What was it? Willie Adames for 7 years as well.
7-year deal for Adames to go to San Francisco.
He's gonna hate hitting at night there. That's all I could think about. That's why Ohtani didn't go there, I think, too. I don't know what they see in Conforto. I really don't. They're trying to do another 1-year wonder, save money elsewhere and put it towards something else. That's why I could.
And I also wonder, by the way, James, if the signing of Adames now takes the Giants out of the Ha-Seong Kim potential sweepstakes if he, in fact, does not come back to San Diego.
I don't think he's coming back to San Diego, and I don't think he's going to get as much. I think because he was injured and his stats weren't as well.
Production has not been great.
That's going to hurt him. I don't think he's worth as much as, of course, before.
Brent DeMoss also writes that the Mets, of course, are still paying off Bobby Bonilla. I don't think they wanted more PTSD from deferred money, I think, James, with giving Soto all the money up front.
What was that, June 24th every year? I can't remember.
I think so, and it's like a $1.5 million payment every year.
That's smart as hell. Enjoy Florida.
Casey also says that he believes that Pete Alonso now becomes a Yankee. I think he would hit very well in that ballpark, but...
Wow.
That'd be something.
But they'd have to go way over the tax to get him. I want to see him outside of the New York market. I don't know where, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think Cleveland would do that. I don't think Arizona would do that if they lost Walker. The Angels, I don't think, would be in play because they.
How about San Diego if they choose not to extend Luis Ariz? They don't really have a true first baseman.
Pete Alonso in San Diego. That would be something. Remember that whole thing with Chris Paddock? That Rookie of the Year battle they had, and everybody was hating the polar bear here. It's amazing what a change of jersey will do to a guy like Harry Doyle said.
Christy Wilson tunes in. She says, hello, guys. She also says, when I heard about Soto in the contract, mind blown. I think mainly, James, I not about the money or the years. Holy cow, before the meetings even start, hallelujah, what a change of pace from a year ago at this time of the year.
I was sitting at my seat at Intuit Dome, and luckily I wasn't, drinking when I saw the
otherwise the people like 5 rows in front of you would have gotten sprayed by Coca-Cola.
Actually, there was like 3 empty rows in front of me. It was Sunday night, I guess. But anyway, the I saw Juan Soto to the Mets, and then at first I saw swiped right.
Breaking news: Juan Soto signing with the Mets.
I swiped right, and then all of a sudden I saw, wait, what the hell is that number?
$55 million.
I'm thinking, wait. He got more than Ohtani, but he's not a two-way player. This shouldn't be. This ruins baseball. This ruins the game. No one should ever do this again. Callan, who's the next player that's going to get more than Soto then in the future?
I have no idea.
Who's the young guy that hasn't turned like 25 yet, 25 and under? Who's going to be that guy?
Why do I want to say Paul Skeens, but then it turns out to be like a Strasburg contract where he blows out his arm in 5 years.
And he doesn't hit.
And he doesn't hit. And he plays for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's going to go the Garrett Cole route. You just know it.
Christy, I think she shares our sentiment, James. Just hope the Mets don't regret it.
Man.
Does Steve Cohen really care?
Man, this is going to be something. I mean, it puts that already NL East. I know the 3 teams made the playoffs, but it puts it more where it goes to first place, and you have to really pay attention even more to that East with the 3 teams. Then it puts Washington and Miami just way down further No way to catch him.
Christy, I'll say this, and I catch your drift about, hey, you probably shouldn't sign a guy to a 10-year, 11-year, 12, 13, 14, 15 million, 15-year, 15-year, 20-year contract, you'll regret it. At the end of the day, though, Christy, for teams like San Diego and the Mets, would you rather be a fan of a team who's willing to kind of, in a way, put all the chips on the table, go all in at the table, and at least take the gamble, or be like old ownership like Jeff Morad in San Diego or the Wilpon family in the Mets and not spend a dime, and you watch losing baseball for your entire life as I have in San Diego? I'd rather have a Peter Seidler be my owner or a Steve Cohen. It may not work out. I'd rather though see my team take the chance, take the gamble, take the leap to go all in for a championship, come hell or high water.
Yeah, and they have done that here in San Diego, but just got to get over the hump.
Brent also says he believes it could be Padre minor league catcher Ethan Salas. Never know, might be the next millionaire with big bucks coming his way. He has been hitting pretty well, or did hit pretty well in the fall league, but he's still, I think, a couple years away from getting up to AAA at this rate. I think he struggled a little bit in Fort Wayne, went back to Lake Elsinore, may have got bumped up to San Antonio in AA, but I think he was sent right back after a couple of rough outings at the plate. But again, folks, once more, Juan Soto to the Mets. 15-year contract, $765 million. And maybe we should hire Scott Boras to be our agents, James, to negotiate stuff for us.
I want money.
He gets it. Might as well. With that, James, also breaking on Sunday in the world of baseball was two new inductees will go into the Hall of Fame, official on Sunday. The legendary Dick Allen and the Cobra, Dave Parker, got the votes necessary to get in via the contemporary era baseball voting committee that, of course, sent Fred McGriff into the Hall of Fame this past year. James, I think we had a very good ballot, though. I know you and I talked about Steve Garvey getting in, hopefully. That, of course, not happen again this year. Maybe Tommy John could have gotten in as a contributor to the game for Tommy John surgery. But I think, though, James, they got it right, though, with Dave Parker and Dick Allen.
Yeah, my mom would love this because she is a big Cobra fan of Dave Parker, of course. And, one thing I remember about him, just watching from highlights or whatever, how big he was. And then his arm, he threw out Brian Downing of the Angels in the 79 All-Star game in Seattle. Had a cannon of an arm. Wore the football-style mask when he got hit by a pitch after that.
Like Jason from Friday the 13th. What are you talking about?
He had that mask, too.
And then he had
the Steelers helmet bars during that time in Pittsburgh. But man had power. I know he went to other places. Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Oakland, Milwaukee, California, and Toronto. He won one ring? Yeah, one ring with the 79. Two rings with the one with the A's in 89, and then 79 with the Pirates. What was it? He was a 78 MVP. And then he had 2 batting titles. He was a 7-time All-Star, 3 Gold Glover before he kind of, blew up. He felt like he was a 5-tool player. And there's a great documentary. I gotta find. I'll watch it again, but it's the Cobra. It's an MLB Network produced documentary. It's really, really good. The T-shirts I remember too about him is like, if you hear any noise, it's me and the boys bopping, and that was all their times in the late 70s, being in the playoffs. Just think the Pirates a long time ago were stable.
Them and Baltimore were like the teams of the 70s back then.
Yeah, they met in 71 in the World Series there. Man, he mentioned too that he taught the Bash brothers how to win. So he took credit for that for the 89 A's. So I'm happy for him. He had Parkinson's disease starting in 2012, and you can kind of see his mobility kind of go downward. But it's good that he's alive while he's in. Got to do the same thing for Pete Rose. With Dick Allen, I know that he was a cancer at some point. He died back in 2020. But the numbers were decent, I guess. I guess they're decent for now, but they weren't back then. He was known mostly for being a Philly for all those years. St. Louis, the Dodgers, the White Sox, and Oakland. Uh, he was known as Richie Allen, but was asked to be named Dick for the rest of his career. Uh, After the Phillies, I should say. He was once an MVP in 72. He was a Rookie of the Year in 64, a 7-time All-Star, just like Dave Parker was. Both guys have pictures smoking cigarettes in the dugout. You just have to Google that for me to. You just have to trust me on that.
Is it about as good as Len Dawson smoking one and putting one in chugging
Inside.
a beer at halftime of the first ever Super Bowl with the Chiefs?
That's right. I forgot about that one. Yeah. But it was just that flamboyant back then where it didn't matter. There was chicken and beer in the locker room before the Red Sox. So I'm happy for the two guys. Wish Dick Allen was here to see it. But for Dave Parker, it's validation because it just seems like all of the players, outfielders that played on other teams or alongside of him, they all got in, but he finally gets his, and it's validation for him. And it's for these two guys. Again, the voting was different back then. You had to have 500 home runs or 3,000 hits. These guys didn't, but to be voted in, on the veterans committee is a big deal. And both are revered very much in the state of Pennsylvania. I really think that.
Yeah, again, folks, Dick Allen and Dave Parker voted over the weekend by the Classic Era Baseball Committee into the Hall of Fame officially. Both got the necessary threshold to get in. Again, Dave Parker, famous member of the We Are Family Pirates, and, of course, Dick Allen, legendary player in his own right with a couple of stints in Philadelphia, both getting into the Hall of Fame officially as of Sunday evening. All right, James, from the diamond to the gridiron, my friend. Week 14 officially in the books after the Bengals knocked off the Cowboys in late touchdown scoring fashion on Monday Night Football. But with that in mind, though, James, a lot of craziness happened around the NFL over the course of Week 14 on Thursday and also into Sunday and Monday. James, with the slowest 5 minutes in football, what do you got for Week 14, big fella?
Yeah, Thursday night was another great Amazon game. It's a shocker. I think they made up for the first 2 years of
it's
the
a
BS.
Miracle!
The first year was just a field goal fest, whatever you want to call it, fest. It was awful. Second year was, but this year there's been some gems. And it was the Packers and Lions, of course, the NFC North rivalry. The Packers held on to win by a field goal 34-31. It came down to Jake Bates field goal in which Dan Campbell went for it, I think.
5 times, I think, in the
fourth down.
He went for on fourth down.
Yeah, 3 of them were touchdowns, by the way. It's just that's
Talk
the
about
way
faith and trust, though, James. Talk about faith and trust in your offense to go for it 5 times in one quarter on fourth down. Like, that only happens in Madden, probably, if you're playing against your friends.
Yeah, I don't love it because I was watching the game, of course, and I was like, take the points here, or be smart about this. But I think they knew if they gave the ball back, if they got a field goal, there was still time for Jordan Love to go down the field and get a field goal or 6 and win. So they didn't want to give the Lions, as banged up as they are with defense, they didn't want to give the opportunity to Jordan Love to try to win the game. They want the ball in their hands to win it. And Detroit, they've won, it feels like 10 in a row. It feels like they've won so many in a row, and it's another learning.
Or they won 11.
I think it's 11 now. The Packers, again, they're only, I think, 2 games behind them. I know time is running out, but shout out to Muse. But Lions should hold on to this division. But, the Packers, they're not that behind, and it's a great thing. Well, Sunday had to happen after that.
Of course it did. It always happens, doesn't it?
I say that because the first game comes up. It's the Jags and Titans. They're playing for a draft pick position. Both teams end up being 3-10 after this. The Jags win it. You didn't miss anything. It was a battle of Mac Jones and what's his name for the Will Levis for the Mayo Man messing up
Mayo
things for
Man, not the
Tennessee.
milkman, the Mayo Man, folks. Mayo Man.
Both smell. After it's rotten, both smell. So yeah, you didn't really miss anything. The Jags won the game. There was a Bigsby run in for a touchdown. Now this game shocked me. It was a divisional game, the AFC East. The Dolphins hosting the Jets. It was a great back and forth game. I thought the Jets were just going to lay down and die, but their defense kind of did. They let Tua do whatever he wanted after a while. They had a good late drive, and they went into overtime to get a field goal to go to overtime, and then Tua got a pass to Geno Smith, who was clutch late in that game, the tight end who's been bouncing around. So the Dolphins win that. The Jets this year, I guess it kind of makes me happy. They have only 3 wins, so take that, Devontae, I guess. Kirk Cousins went back to Minnesota, and people liked him. They're happy he's not their quarterback. The last 4 games have been 4 losses, 8 interceptions, no touchdowns. People are calling for Penix Jr. to come in. I forget if he's
lefty
or righty. I think he's lefty.
lefty.
Sam Darnold, and I'm so happy for him because he's never been around.
Comeback player of the year. Just give him the damn trophy.
Yeah. 5 touchdowns, 3 to Addison, 2 to Justin Jefferson. Cook had Aaron Jones had a great game on the ground. So yeah, the Vikings took care of business 42-21, and Cousins just not looking good. Speaking of not looking good, the Giants win or lose in, I think, a terrible way. They lose 14-11.
Field goal.
Yeah, they let a big guy, even bigger than me, jump over the center and block the field goal that would have tied the game. Instead,
and it looked like, too, James, what I had seen on Red Zone, it looked like Graham Gano was not quite ready for the kick.
There was hesitation.
It looked like, because it happened so fast. And I think they may have shown a replay, and he was still not quite in his position, lining himself up. And, I don't know if there was miscommunication with the center and the holder, but I mean, it happened. And then there was no blocking of the guy who blocked the field goal. They just let him come right through Ole Matador defense.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot this year. I mean, the Giants did it to the Seahawks in Seattle earlier this year.
And won a game.
They won that game. Yep. So the Saints, they lose Derek Carr. He leaped over his own guy and a defender, landed on his head.
He may have dislocated his shoulder.
And he had a arm injury. So I don't know if we'll see him again this year. The bad thing is whenever, and I know this from previous experience watching him, with Derek Carr, whenever he has to run, he'll either reach the ball out and it gets poked out, or he'll leap and he'll fall down and
injure himself, sadly.
Yeah, stupid. Panthers gave a game to the Eagles, but Philadelphia wins it 22-16. Eagles didn't look as good, but they're on a 9-game winning streak.
Carolina was that close, but the pass that was thrown from Bryce Young into the hands and it rattled around, wobbled around, and it dropped on the 1-yard line. It just kind of sums up the Panthers season. Yeah,
I was watching on the Halo board, and I'll talk about that later. They had all the games there. It was awesome. And yeah, it came down to 4 downs, and the Eagles defense luckily held on. It was good seeing Devontae Smith back for the Eagles. They're going to need him down the way. The Steelers hosted the Browns. They're trying to avenge the snowy loss in Cleveland, and they did. It was pretty easy for the Steelers. It was 27-14. I think Jameis had 2 picks or 3 picks. It was just awful. Russ cooking, everything's working out. The defense for the Steelers are awesome. They have some crazy stat where they have 3 turnovers in the last 10 games, I want to say. They're just amazing that way. The Amazing Steelers, as that sign says at Acrisure Stadium.
And by the way, is that I think I saw a stat that's 20-plus straight loss, 21 straight losses now for the Browns at Heinz/Acrisure Stadium?
That is just deflating.
Talk about a house of horrors.
Yeah, and you either get a good Jameis or you get the mixed bag or you get a bad Jameis. And I
It was
think
a
you
mixed
had,
bag on Sunday, it looked like.
yeah, but more the more juice coming out of the bag. That was unfortunate to see. Yeah, 21 again, straight wins for the Steelers at home over the Browns. You have to go back to 2002. William Green and Kelly Holcomb of the Cleveland Browns that year, or Tim Couch, I can't remember. The
One of those two.
Raiders played in Tampa Bay. They secure the first pick by strength of schedule over the
Shador
Giants.
Sanders out of Colorado Boulder.
Should be a Raider. We'll see. The Buccaneers win
Raiders
28.
lose again. Raiders lose again.
Yeah,
65 years of losing continues on and on.
See the new
Just
shiny
lose,
stadium
baby.
that everybody goes to except the regular fans. Yeah, Baker
See who
Mayfield.
our co-owner is? His name's Tom Brady. He won 7 championships.
Actually saw him. More on that later. Baker Mayfield had 3 touchdowns, and the running game looked well. I just wish Godwin was out there for Tampa Bay. Levante David had a interception, I believe. Aiden O'Connell had a bad leg injury. He'll be out the rest of the season. So they're ready
that was
without.
Just sloppy. Trying to watch the Raiders on offense. Holy shnikes.
All they have is the 2 tight ends, Bowers and Mayer, who had pretty decent games.
I think Bowers set a tight end rookie record, I believe, for catches or receiving yards in a single season.
And he's 4th in receiving yards in the whole NFL this year, which is just crazy. You should give him the rookie year despite the team's record. So the Bucs look great. They take over 7-6. They take that division right now over Atlanta. Seattle didn't start off well. Oh, no, it did. It did. It was 30-18 Seattle over Arizona. Cardinals are starting to fall. Seattle now still a game over the Rams for first place. Those two will meet in Week 18 in SoFi in Inglewood. Maybe it will be
that could be for a
game.
division title at this rate.
Exactly. Far from the 2010 game where both were trying to get to 7-9 and win the NFC South in Seattle. I still remember watching that Sam Bradford game. Okay. This one I was at. The Bills and the Rams. Let me say this first. Well, no, I'll save it for the random topic. I'll just talk about the game. In the loss, Josh Allen looked so well. I believe he was sacked just once, but the rest of the time, I had a great view. I was right behind the plays. So he kept running out of the pocket, making the throws. He was amazing. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground and 3 in the air, so 6 total. He was just amazing. It was like I was watching
incredible
football. On the other side, though, Matthew Stafford. This is a guy you want when healthy because he knows how to make the throws. He could throw, looking the other way and throw that way. He's just amazing to watch. Kyren Williams had a great game on the ground. I think he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Puka Nacua just was the standout of the game. He had clutch catches on 3rd down, just like his counterpart, the Cooper Kupp experience. He's awesome. Every time the Bills were down 17, they kept creeping back. But believe it or not, a blocked punt for a touchdown for LA, number 34, I forget whom it was, but that made the difference of the game, and that was in the first quarter. The Rams hold on to win 44-42. It was just amazing. The stats were amazing in that game. I had a stat on that. I'm going to bring it up now, but yeah, being there, it was just it was electric. And at some point I was half asleep from not getting a lot of sleep, but all that scoring woke me up, and I was just so happy about it. So look at this. It was the first game in NFL history where both teams scored at least 40 points and did not turn the ball over.
Oh, beautiful. Clean game.
About.
Love to see it.
Exactly. And then it's probably the best game of the year, and I was there somehow. Now, I thought a blocked punt would be considered a turnover, but is it because you're giving the ball away?
I would probably think so, but then again, I don't know much about Americanized football.
But or
the watered-down version, as I call it, too.
I like it in the air, though. It's crazy. So, yeah, it went a touchdown, LA touchdown, Buffalo, field goal to LA, a blocked punt, which turned into a touchdown for LA, touchdown Buffalo, touchdown LA, another touchdown LA, touchdown Buffalo, touchdown LA, touchdown Buffalo, touchdown Buffalo, touchdown LA, touchdown Buffalo, and then the LA held on. So I saw all
Sheesh.
that. It was amazing. Tom Brady mentioned so many touchdowns, I lost my voice. He was, of course, doing the game with Kevin Burkhardt on Fox. So that was it was experience, and I'll talk about more, during the random part of our program. What else happened? Oh yeah, the Bears went to San Francisco. Brock Purdy looked like himself again. He made some solid throws. I don't know how the Niners are going to do it, but it feels like they're going to try to make their way to win the NFC West, but they got to have some help by the other teams losing, basically. But the defense did well. Caleb Williams just it didn't look good for him. 49ers won 38-13, no problem.
They had 2 yards of total offense at halftime. Like, come on now.
Oh, yeah. And then 4 at a certain point to the 49ers 310 at one point, total yardage. That's not going to win you anything. I didn't see much of the Chargers and Chiefs game because I was at another event.
Chargers lose again.
But
Chargers lose again. 65 years of losing continues on and on.
The Chiefs won 19-17 on a field goal that banged and doinked and went through, luckily, or else Chargers would have won the game. But even though the Chiefs with one loss, they're winning these games, and it's so damn close to not happening, of course. Their defense is doing well. Mahomes is just doing enough, it seems like. But getting Pacheco back is so important for the Chiefs, the running game, that helped them to get the win, I think.
Not just that, James. 9 straight division championships.
Oh, yeah. Then they won the division with the win. I know the Bills
9 in a row, though. That's
already.
just insane. I don't care what sport it is. 9 straight division titles.
And
wow.
in the fashion they've done it, where it's been Alex Smith for, I want to say, 2 years, and then it's been Mahomes. But they had a plan. And that's what Tom Brady kept mentioning about, quarterbacks being thrown into the fire right away.
As we alluded to a couple weeks ago, yeah.
Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, they weren't. They watched at first, and they waited for their opportunity. And they're two of the, one is the best, one is upcoming. Monday night game, I took a nap in the first half, but I saw the rest of it. The Bengals won 27-20. It was a good back and forth air game. And then
much a walk-off TD for the Bengals, too, to win the game in Arlington.
Yeah, Chase Brown had a good rushing game along with the Cowboy running back. I forget how to say his name, but Dooley. But, yeah, Cooper Rush did well. And then Joe Burrow, he has this thing just like Allen and Mahomes. He gets out of the pocket straight ahead, but he doesn't run right away or doesn't run to the side or hesitate. He'll find a receiver open all the time, and they have all those weapons to do it. And for once, they didn't bangle the game. The Cowboys cowboyed a game. The Cowboys had a block punt with 141 left. Sorry, Chrissy Wilson and Chris and Randy and all the other Cowboy fans here. But, yeah, they had a block punt, and the first thing to do, get away from it. Get away from it. Jim Fossil.
Instead, no, Leon Lett was out there, apparently.
John Fossil was out there on the sideline. Get away from it. Get away from it. What?
And Jerry's on the sidelines like...
Yeah, I remember that from 93, I want to say. But they kind of had a moment like that without the snow, without the AstroTurf. God got to see it, though. It was touched, and then it was fumbled. Somebody tried to recover it in the air, which you don't do. You just let it go by. Anyway, the Bengals recovered it. Then it ended up scoring a touchdown and taking the game. So, man, that just feels like that knocks out the Cowboys, not officially, but it kind of
pretty damn close, though.
It was a microcosm of the season they've been having. The bye teams, of course, and I missed some of them, having them play. The Broncos, the Colts, the Patriots, not so much. But the Commanders, the Ravens, and the Texans. 5 of those teams I would watch over a couple of games that we saw this week. Okay, that's all I have for the NFL Week 14. Week 15, who knows what the hell will happen. But I'll be watching.
Yeah, James, a tough night for the Cowboys. Anytime the Chargers lose, everyone in San Diego wins, which includes you and me. A couple of thoughts from Casey King. He first says that he believes the Chiefs finally get caught in the postseason. Wouldn't it be nice, James? We talked about this, though, James, a couple weeks ago. If Buffalo can finally get a postseason win over the Chiefs, or someone knocks them out, I mean, that'd be cool. But mainly, like, I think, James, we did say this, though. Chiefs losing to Buffalo in the regular season really doesn't hold a lot of weight, in your opinion, because you got to prove it to me in the playoffs. I think last year and you still couldn't get the job done.
So Josh Allen and the Bills are 3-1 against the Chiefs regular season, but 0-2 home and away in the postseason. So there's an Elvis song called "If I Could Dream." And this here is what I'm thinking of. Maybe they don't have enough to do it, but they were able to acquire DeAndre Hopkins. They get Isaiah Pacheco back. Their young defense does enough, but can the secondary step up? They lost Snead, I think, to the Titans in free agency, and he was a Super Bowl hero. So someone else will have to step up. But maybe they don't have that guy back there, and they're not scoring as much. Possibility. They're going to have all the home games. They're going to have the home field, sadly, too. Somebody's going to have to go from, like Miami last year. Somebody's going to have to go into cold, Arrowhead. That's the thing that's going to help them, that they have home field. I know that goes against what happened last year because they had to go twice on the road at Baltimore and Buffalo. But God willing,
Casey, got the job done.
Yep.
James, kind of staying with Casey about the Chiefs getting caught. And I hate to really say this about an up-and-coming club. And I don't care for the NFL. I don't watch the sport. I really just don't care for it since they left San Diego. I mean, like I said, I'll watch Red Zone, but I don't sit through full games like I used to with the Chargers being here. But James, Casey brings up about the Chiefs getting caught this year in the postseason. Why do I feel like all this winning for Detroit will mean absolutely nothing when they get knocked out in their first game because they've won all the regular season games and then come the playoff time, they finally lose?
That's the thing with Detroit this year. They're so banged up, especially on defense. They've signed others, Jamal Adams and, I forget the other defensive end.
Because in a way, it just kind of reminds me of like the Marty Schottenheimer era Chargers, who went 14-2 and then lost because Nate Caden couldn't kick a 20-yard field goal against Chad Pennington and the frickin' Jets at Qualcomm.
Oh, okay, that's 2 different years, I guess. And Marlon McCree had that fumble in
and that was against New England.
7. Yeah. I remember watching the 04 one with Nate Kading and 09.
That's the one. Yeah, 04 is what I was referring to. I mean, you could have said like Mark Sanchez, to where he missed 3 field goals and he was the best regular season kicker, a la Gary Anderson with the Vikings in 98.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to get lucky. They rolled the dice too, which could hurt them. And then Philly's hot. Well, look at this. Okay. All these teams that are really good, the elite ones, they're all having their problems. It just comes down to the matchups, I think. Just whoever they play and who's ever healthy, whoever shows up to the dance, basically. It just comes down to that, and we just have to wait and see how the teams will be when they face in the playoffs, and then who gets the first round buys, how they'll come back from that, with the divisional round, how they respond to that. Maybe they need to play in a row. Maybe that'll hurt them. We've seen, we were talking about that in baseball this year in the postseason, how the team with the bye, isn't as good because they had so many days off and they lose right away. That happens in every sport.
For example.
That could happen to Detroit or Kansas City this year.
Casey also says that he said it was a good game between 2 very much doo-doo teams in the Bengals and the Cowboys. I think, James, you would agree with this sentiment. Bengals are actually
Oh God.
and should be better than what their record is at what 5-7, 6-7.
Yeah. No. I think 5-8. Oh, no, 5-7. Sorry, 5-7. Yeah, it's the defense. They've given up so much points. They're last in defense, but they're first in offense, and that just never happens, and it's ridiculous. Was it the 2010 Chargers didn't make the postseason?
I was just going to say, but 2010 Chargers were the best offense and didn't even make the playoffs.
And the best defense too, I think. And they didn't make the playoffs. But the Bengals here, it's just been I think with the Bengals, they lost a lot in free agency. Jesse Bates, the safety, went to the Falcons, and he's done okay there, but they really needed him. Up front, they've been injured off and on with Hendrickson and Hubbard, but it's just you feel bad for Burrow. He's going to lose Higgins in free agency, so you know that they're going to be down a weapon. And even though they spent an offensive line money, he's still
running for his life.
Yeah, he's still doing that, but he's smarter about it. Like I said, he gets up the middle and he's looking downfield instead of trying to slide or just getting out of bounds. So it's the defense that's keeping them back. They were supposed to be contending, but the Steelers have taken their spot in the division.
Casey also says, hey, guys, watch out for the Rams, though. Still think that they can win the NFC West. Right now, Seattle's got that kind of on lockdown after they blew out the Cardinals in Glendale this past Sunday. Casey also says the Renters, a.k.a. the Chargers, lose again, and I absolutely like it. And also, James, there might be a wild card team here from Case. Fear the Steelers on the AFC side as their defense does look good. Would you agree?
The jig is up. Yeah, defense wins you games. I gotta find a yellow. No one has a yellow towel. Yeah, I'm amazed how much the Steeler mystique is based on defense. Like you could be flashy a little bit on
Iron
offense,
Curtain defense, baby. Steel Curtain defense, baby.
It started with that, and you go through the years, other from the 80s.
Troy Polamalu, baby.
90s, 2000s, and now you had TJ Watt. You still have Highsmith, you Hayward, and his brother, which I found out on Hard Knocks last week. He has a brother who's a tight end. But it's a rare occurrence where you could trust their defense to maybe get a scoop and score. It's just crazy. And Joey Porter Jr. with his father looking. He's been playing out of his mind too. I know people didn't like that pick at first, but I think the Yinzers have warmed up to him. And it's just a thing. It could help in the playoffs. Imagine if they host a playoff game there in the wild card. That'd be awesome. I don't know if they could go to Kansas City and win. I think, the refs, again, would be in the back pocket of Kansas City.
What if they get KC at home? Oh, I know that wouldn't be possible. Say, like, somehow somebody at the Chiefs stumble and then they become the 2 seed.
That means I think they would have to lose out. Chiefs have to win. Chiefs would have to lose out. Steelers would have to win out, basically. God, I would still put the winning for the Chiefs, but again, it would come down to Mahomes. And we'll find out on Christmas. I think they're in Kansas City, though. These two play each other. And what I love about next week, Buffalo and Detroit plays each other. So possible Super Bowl previews this month. Maybe Buffalo, LA. But it'll be a close game if KC played in Pittsburgh. But I think KC would still win. I think Mahomes just knows how to get away with stuff.
And playoff experience, I think, too, with that veteran team. With that, James, from the gridiron to the hardwood into the association, James, on the eve of the NBA Cup quarterfinals. But first and foremost, James, another milestone comes off the board for one. Chris Paul officially passing legendary point guard Jason Kidd with his 12,092nd assist in the Spurs victory on Sunday. He got a very sweet gift after the game, after the Spurs, I believe, won their game on Sunday. He got a basketball that had the number on it, and also I think had the name of every single player he's assisted during his career and how many times he did so. James, I don't know though if we can put Chris Paul in the word longevity in the same sentence though, but I do think, James, 12,092 assists now and still hunting down probably one of the all-time greats, in my opinion, though, in John Stockton for the all-time assist record. I know that Chris has bounced around, though, from New Orleans. He was a Clipper for a bit. Now he's with the Spurs to kind of, in a way, just mentor. He's been Oklahoma City. Now he's mentoring Victor Wembanyama with the Spurs right now. They've kind of, in a way, turned a small corner, but it won't really result in much this season. But James, though, I mean, I think Chris Paul, whenever I think about him just being an undersized guard who always found a way to make others better. Even when he was a rookie, he was kind of, in New Orleans. They really weren't much of a franchise when the Hornets had moved from Charlotte to New Orleans at that time. They had the very weird identity crisis of being in Oklahoma City, then playing in New Orleans before they became the Hornets officially in New Orleans. And of course, there was that trade to the Lakers, but then it was vetoed by David Stern. He went to the Clippers and really I think, James, laid the foundation for the Clippers for where they're at today. Because again, I think that we all know that the Clippers organization would never take a flyer on a guy like Chris Paul back in those days. And I really just think that at the end of the day, that longevity, I think, should be a word definition for Chris Paul. I think, though, going through the injuries, the changing of teams, playing for almost the entire Western Conference, it seems like. But James, overall thoughts on seeing Chris Paul surpass Jason Kidd for the number 2 all-time spot in total assists for his NBA career on Sunday?
Yeah, once you start getting past Mark Jackson, Magic Johnson, and then you pass Jason Kidd. I don't know if he'll catch Stockton because he has 15,806. Chris Paul is at 12,092. So
still about 3,000 shy of it.
Yeah, I know. Paul's played 20 years. Stockton played 19. And the Spurs did win. And they're doing quite well this year.
They are doing pretty well this year, considering all factors.
They had a bad start, but I think it goes to Chris Paul. 121-116 over the Pelicans. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, it happened to be over the Pelicans, the New Orleans franchise. It's just funny
how fitting is that for him? How fitting.
Yeah. It's weird how the nicknames work, but
the Pelican is the state bird of Louisiana, so I get it.
An ugly one. 2005, he started out, of course, with Hurricane Katrina. They had to move their home games to Oklahoma City, which has the Thunder now. It was kind of a testing if Midwest basketball could be something. I miss the Supersonics, so yeah. But yeah, Chris Paul, I always hear Barkley saying he's the best leader in the game, right? So this goes to it. He's 39 years old. And the thing, again, what do I talk about with big men shooting threes? Well, guess what?
Stop.
The not record-breaking, but passing kid, the assist was on a three-pointer to Wembanyama.
A one-legged three-pointer by the big fella.
Feels coordinated, like the LeBron passing, Kareem. It was a, jumper, fadeaway or whatever. But, I'm happy for Chris Paul. I know he's bounced around. When you think about New Orleans, the Clippers, and then Houston, Oklahoma City in 2020, and then Phoenix.
Yeah, he was a Sun at one point. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, he had that playoff game in which he made a three, and all of a sudden they were down like 45 in that clincher for Dallas. He was with the Golden State last year. Then he signed the 1-year deal this year with San Antonio. Just think about it. He was a fourth pick in the 2005 draft out of Wake Forest. And right away, you could just tell he was a leader on the floor. He made all those Hornets better. They had Desmond Mason, a young J.R. Smith, and Jamal McClurg, P.J. Brown, David West. And then later on they had, Peja Stojakovic. So he always had decent names, but it wasn't until he came with the Clippers where you had the Rookie of the Year the year before and DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin there. And Lob City was just so much fun. I think the thing that you mentioned about Chris Paul is like, hey, the postseason failures will get to him. All the years with the Clippers having the hamstring issues and the blown leads just pissed me off, you know. And then he would go to Houston where he kept running into Stephen Curry and the Warriors, who he beat in 2014, and the Warriors didn't lose ever since for the Western Conference until 2020. So Chris Paul finally got to a Western Conference Finals against the Clippers in 21 with the Suns, but he was trying to get the big ring, but lost to the Bucks in 6, as we remember. But feels like a player in his twilight. Probably not going to go ring chasing again. This might be his last year, but he's still putting up, somewhat good numbers: 10 points a game, 8 assists a game, and 3 rebounds a game. Starter for the Spurs, of course. The thing is, too, I'm trying to figure out what he would go in as, because if he went now, again, this is the thing I think I talked with you about. How come a Clipper who's really good, they leave on bad terms, right? Like Blake Griffin left on bad terms. DeAndre's not a great player, but he went on to win, with the Nuggets. He stuck around for a while. It wasn't so much bad terms with DeAndre. It was just like, we're sick of the hack of DJ. We want to move a different direction. Got lucky with Zubac. But with Chris Paul, he's got almost all the Clipper records when you think about it. That's how much how many terrible players the Clippers had throughout the years, or they weren't around because of previous ownership, right? So, yeah, you could say Chris Paul, I don't want to say it, but like he built into it, Dome. Like the popularity of the Clippers, if it wasn't for him, and then if it wasn't
Clippers,
for
I really think, James, became a franchise when they got Chris Paul. I mean, if he goes the other way to the Lakers, I mean, that further just puts them further down the totem pole and rungs of the ladder if, in fact, he goes to the Lakers. Thank goodness, in your opinion, for David Stern saying, no, you're not going there. You're going to the other team, that's called the Clippers. And, and I think, James, what also comes to mind, though, and this may be a little bit out of bounds, though, about Chris Paul's tenure, though, with the Clippers, how he was one of the leaders about that organization revolting against Donald Sterling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 2014.
I also kind of think that does come to mind a little bit too.
Yeah, where they took the shirts off at Oakland, and yeah, just change had to happen, and for the good. They would still be at Crypto.com Arena if it wasn't for Ballmer. Yeah, Chris Paul, obviously, probably the best Clipper ever, just based on the numbers. I hope there's a time where they could retire his number and Blake's up at Intuit Dome, along for the Ralph Lawler, banner up there as well.
Something for Bill Walton, please.
Yeah, that'd be great too. Even he left on bad terms with Sterling and the LA Clippers back in the day. So it's great to see him do things. It just sucks that it's for other teams, knowing how well he did with the Clippers. And like right away when he got traded, and then traded again, but one was legit. The league wanted competitive balance, and luckily David Stern was there to change that up, where the Lakers, even though they were going to get rid of Gasol and Odom, I always wonder how that trade would have worked out with Chris Paul and Kobe Bryant. That would have been something. In the league of big men back then, you would have 2, and then what was ever left with the Lakers of 2011.
Why do I kind of think that trade could have ended up like Nash and Dwight Howard going to the Lakers?
And then
because I think Paul and Kobe would have been fighting over who brings the ball up after they get the rebound.
That would have been the problem. And then age would have caught up to the others.
Both of them.
And then eventually Chris Paul, now the age would caught up to him. They would be able to trade or sign whatever stars to align with the two. But I'm just happy it didn't happen, because there was finally a sense of competitive balance in LA, especially when they had the hallway series at Staples. It wasn't just like one-sided. It
became competitive when Chris Paul became a Clipper.
Yeah, I love those days. It just reminds me of being around my family who are Clipper fans. And it's just unfortunate that they could never win a championship there. But I still love Chris Paul. I loved his pick and roll game. I loved the defense, the steals, the assists, the lob city with DeAndre and Blake. Just how he got everybody involved. He had all those, commercials as what was it?
Cliff Paul.
Cliff Paul. I still have the bobblehead somewhere. So I just have fond memories. I'm happy for him. I think this might be his last year, just based on numbers. I hope somehow Santino gets in the play-in, but we'll see. But congratulations to Chris Paul, the best leader in the NBA.
James, before we talk about the Callan McClurg NBA Cup bracket for the quarterfinals, Chris Paul, first ballot Hall of Famer?
Yes, just based on the numbers and longevity. And then I want to say Jason Kidd. Is he in the Hall of Fame already?
I think he is in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know if he was. I think he was first. He should have been first ballot. But I just think all the mileage and all the numbers and stats, Chris Paul should be. And think about it too. He was kind of the last dying breed of true point guard. Now you have like Lonzo Ball, or I'm sorry, LaMelo Ball shooting from like 50 feet away, doing like stupid stuff, right? Chris Paul was the one who used the big men to their advantage, pick and roll, lob city, whatever the case was, kick out to three. Like in 2K, I would always use them on the pick and rolls. And it was just the greatest thing using him. So just based on that, I would say how he helped so many franchises, especially New Orleans, the Clippers, who were nothing before he came there. I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and I think he's more synonymous with the New Orleans era for the Hornets and then the Clippers. Again, the Hornets, I know it's weird. They came back. Now they have the name in Charlotte, not really not in NOLA, but still like at the time, though, coming out of the hurricane, what the Saints, what they did, winning the Super Bowl a year afterwards, and then basketball coming back to New Orleans after, so long of the Jazz, leaving New Orleans for Salt Lake City, and then putting the Clippers on the map, about 10, 15 years ago. So definitely congrats to Chris Paul, surpassing one of my favorites of all time, Jason Kidd, with the assist record of 10,092. All right, James, we talked a bit last Wednesday on a Sports Hour regarding the bracket for the NBA Cup quarterfinals. Again, both teams, or all the teams that are the higher seed, get a home game before the semis and finals go to T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada for year number 2. Milwaukee will host Orlando, with the Knicks and Hawks, followed up by the Thunder and Mavericks. Rockets and Warriors made the 8-team field out of the East and West. Again, James, prize money is on the line here for the champs, and then for every team who got in, they got, I think, about $100,000 or $200,000 bonus getting into the tournament. So, James, I think that, like I have long said, I think that this format works. We're not going to go too far in the weeds here about yes or no about it. Because, again, James, like I've long said now, if Orlando or if Atlanta or if Houston wins this thing, then I think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I think it still is the greatest thing since sliced bread because, like I've long believed, though, James, is that you're always telling me that the NBA regular season has no merits. This is a way to get merits and get players to actually play unless they're actually injured. Looking at you, Joel Embiid and Paul George in Philadelphia. With that, though, James, in mind, on the line right now with when it comes to odds, Bucks, Knicks, Thunder, Rockets, all favored, but only, James, by 2.5 to 7.5 points. So we're looking at these games being close. So, James, maybe in the quarters, who do you like in the Callan McClurg NBA Cup quarterfinals?
I'm just happy it's not named after me. In the Eastern Conference, Milwaukee over Orlando. Franz Wagner is out now, I think, 4 to 6 weeks, something like that.
He's got the same injury as Paolo. And the fact, though, that the Magic have kept this afloat despite losing Franz Wagner and then losing Paolo with the same oblique injury, good on them.
Well, Paolo's been a while. Franz was Saturday when I saw you. Is when it happened. So, yeah, I think Milwaukee's going to blow them out. Same thing with the Knicks. Even though Hawks have been showing me something this year. They can make that game really close. Trae Young, he's not just shooting threes. He's a great assist leader. He gets it done.
Dipping and diving and driving.
Yeah, but he still throws up those 40-footers that go in. But it comes up to, Hunter and then the other guys, the young guys on Atlanta, his supporting cast to do it. But I think the Knicks with Cat right now and Brunson and Bridges, I think
However,
they're just too
though,
much.
Jalen Brunson did get injured tonight, though, in
Wow,
Toronto.
jeez.
He
Okay,
ran to the
that's
scores table and may have jarred his knee, they're saying.
Jesus. Oh my God. You
So
know, a
there's a
thing
little
that
chink in the armor for the Knickerbockers, though, at the Garden come either Tuesday or Friday for their
Tuesday.
first game.
Yeah. I think no, it's Wednesday. Wednesday. Um, God, that's the thing that hurts regular season too is the injuries. We talked about 2 weeks ago. Just a list of players that were out that were known. Hearing that Cat would have to do the bulk of the work, and then
And
the other.
then OG Ubanubi gets a
Oh,
lot more on his plate, having to deal now
yeah.
with Atlanta if Brunson can't go on Wednesday for quarterfinal play.
Oh, and then you remember 2021 how Trey and the Hawks went to New York and beat
Embarrassed the
them.
Knicks.
Yeah. You know what? That convinces me. I think it's always a
I
revenge
probably would go
tour.
Atlanta.
I'm going to
Pull off an
Atlanta.
upset.
Yeah, I'm going to Atlanta with that one. In the West, though, it's going to be high scoring. I'm hesitant to see how Clay is done here with the Mavericks, trying to get
I just
him
like
involved in
Oklahoma
the
City,
offense.
man. And I know that you're
Yeah,
kind of on the
they're
hype train
deep.
too, like I was last year when we were talking about, old guard for the top three or new guard. I'm like, no, I'm team new guard. Like in OKC, they've been just so fun to watch, man. And I think that like OKC for me in the West, OKC Houston. Oh, that'd be exciting for the semifinals in the Western Conference.
That's who I got. Oklahoma City, again, they're my finals pick to win it over Boston. I just think Dallas, they're striving for, the postseason more than the cup. But it would only propel, I think, the Thunder to more. It would bring those. I mean, they're together right now. I mean, after
Imagine though if they
post
win the
game
NBA Cup though.
post game interview, they're together. But yeah, if they win the cup, if they're partying there, everybody gets that prize money. Can't believe I'm saying this for the NBA. Yeah, that would help them. Rockets, I
Works.
got to see them live, and all they did was shoot threes and make them. Dylan Brooks is a beast. He takes games over, and then they have all the young guys like Smith Jr. Sagoon is
But
a
if Dylan
beast.
Brooks doesn't keep his emotions in check, then they're screwed.
Yeah, that's where Draymond comes into play.
He's especially, I mean, can I say it, James? He's a poor man's Dennis Rodman when it comes to ego and attitude on the floor, trying to be an enforcer.
I think that's
Is
more
that fair?
Draymond Green.
I mean, they both are. Can we just say it
Nah,
that way?
not like I guess in that case, but skill set, it's like Draymond is more Dennis Rodman, and then Brooks is more. He's like a triple threat, but he has the attitude. He doesn't care about technicals. I would have to go back and like see someone like that who just didn't give a damn, who got the tech but didn't matter. Who gets into like every week he gets into something.
Oh, all
It's
the time.
with Dylan Brooks. I watch it on YouTube, and every time I come home, I see something where these two have a stare down, or these two have a little push.
You out of the game.
Rocket security is on the floor again. It's always something like that. Yeah, so yeah, I'll give it to the Rockets, I guess, for the quarterfinals against the Thunder for the semifinals, and then yeah, Bucks and the Hawks for the semifinals. And did you want to predict that next week?
No, yeah, we can do that next week. I think,
Yeah,
James, that's a pretty damn good semifinal. Again,
I like it for
Milwaukee.
both.
Again, the reason why I've got Milwaukee, not because I picked them to win in 2021 and I have friends who work with the organization, but we talk, James, my longstanding die on the hill about this tournament. This can propel a team who's not off to a hot start. Again, the Bucks have had their own problems, unlike Philadelphia. What if they somehow get all the way to the final and win it? What does that maybe do for them? Does that maybe keep Doc Rivers around? I doubt it, but still, there is a way I think that he can use this tournament to springboard it. Again, take the money out of the equation just for like 15 seconds and think about, though, what this could do for team morale. Again, Indiana proved last season that you can go there, maybe not win the damn thing, but still get to the conference final last season in the postseason. And then I think after Milwaukee, the other three teams, I think if I had to rank them, a la Brandon and Tim on their program on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. The bottom three teams after Milwaukee is who I would want to see win it, like Atlanta, even Houston, Oklahoma City, just for like what LeBron may have said last year, playing the tournament for all the kids or all the like 11th, 12th guy in the roster to get the pay bump for the contracts and stuff. Again, I know that it's a tired argument about, why I think it's the greatest thing ever. I just think it adds something to the regular season, not about the money, like that can be burned, put it back in the Brinks trucks, like just some early season excitement. And again, when TV viewership goes up because of the NBA Cup, thank me later, because it has done so the past year, and it already has this year, even though I know that teams have been banged up with injuries and stuff like that. It's a nice little wrinkle. Enjoy it. It's not a permanent thing. It's only a month and a half of the season. It's not the whole year. You're in the playing tournament, maybe, and then maybe we can talk.
Yeah, neither. What was I going to say now? Yeah, it helps. It would help the Hawks. I think they had a great win over the Lakers. I think I want to say Friday. It was pretty cool. But
Trae Young and OT.
Yeah. Right. So for me, I don't know how much Giannis is invested in this thing, because from 2021 he's only wanted to win, the finals. So I don't know if he has the same approach as LeBron in that case. So that's the only thing that holds me back from maybe Giannis and the Bucks having the excitement.
And hence why I said that I would rather it be the other three teams we picked, like Atlanta or Houston or Oklahoma City, because much like you were just saying, though, is that we can't compare LeBron to Giannis's mindset about winning, the Callan McClurg Emirates Airlines NBA Cup, but still. I think it would mean more, like I've said a little bit, that it would mean more for the other three teams or the lower seeds to have more incentive away from the Bucks.
Sure. Maybe the Thunder and all those young guys that's playing with Oklahoma the Warriors. City. I think that would be helpful too. But I think the Rockets, they have a shot to win it all. They just have the grit and the grind to do it, and they just don't care. They're playing tough. They're strong. Defensively, they're really good. I got to see that yesterday. So I just want to go to Casey King's comment.
Yeah, again, Casey agrees with James that the NBA Cup tournament is pure doo-doo and stupid, needs to go bye-bye. Not a fan of it. Again, I'm not here to criticize James or Casey. I just view it again from a media perspective. 17 years going in sports media next year. If I'm a league, though, and I see something like this going on, though, it's different. This is a European Major League Soccer style tournament. James, you'll have to get used to it, because if you're going to be with me in the 18th Battalion at Snapdragon, you're going to have to learn about the U.S. Open Cup and learn about CONCACAF Champions League and learn about the Leagues Cup and stuff, because this is what soccer does all year on top of the regular season. And like I said, it's 4 weeks. It's not 6 months of tournament games. Again, get rid of the play-in tournament. It's top 8. It's not 10, 11, or 12.
I like that. I like that. We agree on that, at least.
So, again, that's why I sarcastically call it the Callan McClurg Emirates NBA Cup, because I'm the only person on this platform who thinks it's a great idea. Again, for a long season, and like the NBA, where, again, you're trying to get star players to play, like to James's point again, why these guys don't play. Okay, you may have to throw some cachet their way to play games, but it's something different. And like I said last season, away from the Pacers and their run, a meaningless game to a lot of our fans out there in early December against the eventual champion NBA champion Celtics in Indianapolis, Indiana on a random Wednesday in December. Sellout crowd, playoff atmosphere, because they knew what the Pacers had to do to get into this NBA Cup, bracket. And again, what that would have meant, though, to player 12 on the roster, player 11 making league minimum salary of like maybe $500,000. That's why I think that it's a great thing, because you can help players who are not making the buku bucks against the salary cap to at least make a livable life away from basketball. Simple as that. And when TV viewership goes up 50% every Wednesday and Friday, because I watch, I know James doesn't watch, but when
Tuesday and
viewership,
Friday.
but again, from the media perspective, when viewership is going up for something new, 50%, 47%, that tells me that this thing is working, that people are invested, though it might be stupid or dumb or whatever. It's something different. I know we don't like change. Pull up that damn play-in tournament, and maybe I might watch more of the postseason.
Yeah. I only watch Tuesdays for TNT Crew. That's the only reason I watch tomorrow.
Which will be on ESPN in 2025-26.
Yikes.
Just like we need more Stephen A to be on that network. With that, James, going from the NBA over to the ice, a couple of trades went down over the course of the last couple of days in the NHL. The first kind of big trade of the season saw the Anaheim Ducks snag Rangers captain Jacob Trouba late in the week, I believe on Friday, I want to say. They coughed up, they being the Ducks, gave up defenseman Earl Vakanainen and a fourth-round pick for Jacob Trouba in his entire $12 million salary, while earlier on Monday, the Sharks and Avalanche swapped struggling goaltenders as Mackenzie Blackwood goes to Denver, while Alexander Grigoriev is on his way to San Jose for picks as well, and a prospect also heading the way of the Sharks at this rate. And with the trades that were made, though, and also lost him a shuffle, by the way, the Blackhawks fired their head coach Luke Richardson after a dismal start to the season, with the Blackhawks having the worst record by points with only 18, now 20 points after beating the Rangers on Monday night at the Garden. But with that, though, James, Anaheim, though, pretty good years to start so far. They've had their own share of injuries, though, but they've already won 10 games the season. They're 2 games below 500. They lost in a shootout to Montreal. But, James, the acquisition, though, of Jacob Trouba kind of came out of nowhere. There was some very much public commentary, though, that Jacob was not thrilled with the Ranger front office. A lot of heads were being clonked between him, his agent, the GM, Chris Drury, and then also upper management, though. And Anaheim, per reports, James, was nowhere on the board. It was Detroit, it was Buffalo, it was Ottawa, it was Columbus, and the Ducks kind of came out of left field and swooped in and got Jacob Trouba for this year, then all of next season, $12 million in salary. All they give up is Earl Vakanainen, who has been a kind of a dinged-up D-man, and a fourth-round conditional pick for 2025. And I think that Casey's right, James. Good pickup for the Ducks, though. It adds another veteran player to this very young, still learning how to win roster that now includes veterans like Trouba, Radko Gudas, their team captain, Cam Fowler, goaltender John Gibson, Alex Killorn, along with Ryan Strome and Frank Vetrano. So, James, I like the move, though. I know that, again, I think it was mainly, James, it's more about the Ducks kind of came out of nowhere and swooped in and had the better package to acquire Jacob Trouba. And by the way, James, this is the third time that the Rangers have traded their team captain out of town in the last couple of years.
That's all I had to say about that, because I read that from, I think, Casey at the game on Saturday, or no, I heard it on Friday with the Hacksaw show. And I was asking Casey, has that ever happened in another sport where you trade, someone with the C on their chest, you trade the last 3 captains away?
And we talked about that, though, with the Bruins throwing out Jim Montgomery, about how I had said there was a lot of, video had come out of him and Brad Marchand, the team captain, verbally spatting on the bench during a game.
I would want to see that. It's good, though, to get a veteran on this young team. Zegras is hurt again, from what I've heard, for the Ducks. They're starting off okay. Eventually, it feels like they're going to fall. They just have too much youth on the team, I think, for Anaheim. But the move is cool because it's unexpected, and sometimes those things can either elevate a player or downgrade a player to not want to be there. We'll see how Trouba does with that.
Yeah, and I think it really does fit Anaheim's mold, because Pat Verbeek, James, has been a guy that wants big, mean, tough defensemen, like a Radko Gudas, who came over from Florida He's been known to, pound the tar out of people. He's basically been in the upper echelon of when it comes to the hit category on the stat sheet 9 times out of 10. My main thing, though, was that, okay, now you bring in Jacob Trouba, similar style player to Gudis, right-hand shooting defenseman, but also can lay the boom down and keep guys in order on the opposing team to keep them away from the star players. Again, I always think about when Paul Kariya came to the Mighty Ducks. He had Stu Grimson, Todd Ewing, Robin Bawa, 3 guys who were like, you want to touch Paul Kariya, you got to deal with one of us. And you're not going to like it when it's all said and done back in the mid early 90s. But I was more wondering, though, okay, Gudis, veteran defenseman, Fowler, veteran defenseman, Jacob Trouba, veteran defenseman. Now you can literally, in a way, now they didn't do it on Monday. I was hoping, okay, break those, don't let either of them play together. Let's structure it, from my perspective, Gudis, Fowler, and then along with Trouba, and even Brian Dumoulin. Now you have a chance to, James, have some of the young defensemen like a Olin Zellweger, a Jackson Lacombe, for example, play with the established veteran defensive partner during the course of a game. I think they did, though, have to pair Dumoulin and Gudis together as their top, as one of their, I think, their top pair on Monday. But after that, though, they had Trouba playing with I think, Lacombe or Zellweger or vice versa. So I like, though, that they already had that plan in place to kind of not put veterans together, though, but break them up, though, and have one of them playing with one of the younger prospects or younger kids who's up there playing defense right now for Anaheim.
Tell you what, Casey King has a comment about the other side of things. I think he was talking about this, but hopefully Ducks can make a little run here. Again, what app are they on?
Victory Plus.
Victory Plus, thank you. I was trying to remember that.
Or KCOP Channel 13 or KTTV Fox 11.
I don't have that here, so yeah, I would have to do Victory Plus.
Let's get to Casey about his LA Kings. He says that his Kings goaltending has been great so far this season, and I think that will be a key if they want to get out of round 1 and go far in the postseason. Where again, it's been and thankfully, Casey, not a revolving door like last year where it was Copley, and then it was Cam Talbot, then it was David Riddick. I know that they've still have been battling goaltending injuries, though, as the year has kind of worn on right now. But I will say, Casey, I think you'll agree, though, I want more time in LA for Eric Portillo. I really have enjoyed and admired his game from afar when the Reign have played the Gulls. I think he is long overdue to get that well-deserved, long-sustained promotion to the Kings out of the AHL, because I love the way that he just plays the game. And I think that, if Riddick goes down or if, another goalie goes down, you got him. And you also have Phoenix Copley, who's been a very well-known, established name too. So I think that will be key. More importantly, don't play Edmonton in round 1 for a change, and that might change their fortunes coming up here pretty soon. But again, folks, the Ducks with the make the trade late in the week. Again, Jacob Trouba going to Anaheim from the Rangers in exchange for Eero Vakanainen and also for a conditional 4th-round pick. While, again, the Avalanche and Sharks swapped goalies. Again, today, Alexander Grigoriev is on his way to San Jose with Mackenzie Blackwood. So, sadly, James, they traded one goalie who won one fewer game than the other team, and they both have dismal goals against averages and save percentages too. Yikes.
I know that's a big deal this year, is the percentages are down, especially for guys on the move.
And Casey agrees with me that Portillo needs to be promoted back to the NHL. He is fun to watch. Again, he's very steady. Again, I noticed it in 2 games so far where the Reign have come to San Diego. He's steady. He's calm. He keeps the team under control. And I think you want to have a guy like that, though, in your foxhole when things kind of maybe get a little bit, weeble wobble here and stuff. But then again, though, Casey, I said the same thing, though, about Cal Peterson at one point when he was the Reign goaltender. Then he got his promotion to LA. But it always seemed like, though, he never got the right amount of playing time. Then he got shipped out of town to Philadelphia alongside a couple of other players to the Flyers, where I think now he's still with the organization. But I really felt like, though, he was the guy. Now it's Eric Portillo. I don't want the same fate, though, for him going forward where a trade chip comes and then he's dealt out of town because of playing time. That's my only concern, though. I might have, but again, a couple of trades folks made in the NHL late in the week and also on Monday. With that, James, also wrapping up shop was the other version of football, the one I absolutely love and admire. Major League Soccer crowned a new MLS Cup champion on Saturday afternoon in Carson, California. For the 6th time in franchise history, the LA Galaxy again ruled the roost of Major League Soccer with their 6th Phil Anschutz trophy. They knocked off the New York Red Bulls 2-1 in a very entertaining match at Dignity Health Sports Park. Over 26,000 fans packed DHPS on the campus of CSU Dominguez Hills for the final on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in suburban Los Angeles. James, the Galaxy went from being plus 3,300 odds to win it all at the start of the season to then losing their star player Ricky Puig to a torn ACL in the conference final against Seattle, to winning their 6th MLS Cup title and their first one in 10 years. And James, that was a long James, it kind of in a way felt like it was the Lakers after 2010 till 2020. Bad draft picks, front office turmoil, bad GMs, firing coaches, no talent really being on the roster, talent being there, but then you get knocked out by LAFC. You get knocked out by Seattle. You get knocked out by some inferior team in the Western Conference. Now, James, it bears fruit here a decade later with the likes of Ricky Puig, though Puig did not play because of the ripped ACL he suffered against the Sounders. Stefan Jelic, alongside a lot of other players, though. And again, James, it's the Galaxy back on top for a 6th time to break a tie with DC United. At least not with DC United, though, but now going from the first to 5, now finishing off their race for SACE is what they were calling it with their 6th championship. James, great year again for Major League Soccer. I don't know the exact TV numbers yet. I hope to have that on Press Row on Tuesday when it comes to viewership on Fox for the match. It was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, kind of lost in the shuffle of college football on Fox across the nation. For LA and New York. But James, overall thoughts on another great year for MLS and all of this, James, too, with despite an early exit by Lionel Messi and Inter Miami.
I also would love to hear the rating, or not the streaming ratings for Apple TV Plus, because what is it? They had most of the playoff games on that, I want to say.
Every game is on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
Every game, every match.
Yeah, I would love to see that, because, the people that have T-Mobile could get it for free, just like MLB for the regular season. So I want to see those numbers as well. Yeah, for years it just seemed like the LA Galaxy, just were rebuilding, or they were just not it felt like one and done kind of. But the expectations were still high throughout. They finally got back to the top. Almost feels like the Steelers as well, in a way. Finally getting to a number, and then eventually the Patriots would overtake them. But I haven't heard much about them, before that. But I was hearing I think it was at the Rams game, that the crowd was overflowing there at Dignity Health.
I think they had to open up the grass berm behind Victoria Block, I think, for fans to sit on the grass for the match.
Yeah, I remember being up there for another event. But I was thinking that place, it's not that big, so to fit
27,000 seats.
Yeah, and they couldn't do that for the American football team there. So that's pretty cool to think of. So the Galaxy getting back there, that feels good. It's almost like the Sparks too, in a way. I feel like that's a way.
2016 for LA, yeah.
Yeah, that they had a drought since 2002. They finally got back to that. So, that's great for them. And the thing is too, the pressure they felt at first, going back to, I think it was 2006, of having Chivas USA in the market. And then
05 is when they first became a franchise. They being Chivas USA, who's now kind of in a way de facto LAFC.
Yeah, and then having LAFC come in, 2016, 17, I think it was.
2018, I think, was their first year. If not, 2019 was their first year. I think 2019 was their first year.
So LA Galaxy, they've been feeling the pressure of okay, someone's always trying to want overdo us in there, and that has happened in LA. But it's good to see like the old guard finally come back and be on top again. And then of course I, like everybody else, probably had Inter Miami over LAFC, and neither got
I think a
in.
lot of we both did on this panel. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just followed your lead, like always. So no, I because I know everybody wanted to see Messi. It's like if Mahomes doesn't make it or if LeBron doesn't make the finals, it's not watchable. But if you're a real fan like you are, you're gonna watch it. So I'm interested. I'll watch press row to see the ratings. But yeah, congrats to the Galaxy getting it back.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to have the numbers from Fox and from MLS when it comes to the viewership of the game on Saturday. Again, it was a sellout crowd overflowing at Dignity Health Sports Park. Again, the LA Galaxy winning their 6th MLS Cup championship over the New York Red Bulls 2-1, with all the scoring for LA in the first half, and then the Red Bulls got a corner kick goal headed in, and then it was all LA to close out shop at DHPS in Carson. Speaking of MLS, San Diego FC officially now joins the ranks now with the season being over. They've already, James, done a couple of moves already. They've already acquired a couple of players via other teams to, I believe, avoid expansion draft scrutiny on Wednesday. Again, the expansion draft will take place on Wednesday at 7 o'clock local time on Fox 5 San Diego, and also will be streamed on the SDFC website. The club did acquire Chris McVeigh from DC United a couple days ago, and then also today picked up Tomas Angel from LAFC, and also picked up about $30,000 in general allocation money from the Columbus Crew to, again, I think, James, what usually, if expansion drafts work how I think they do, that now will exempt DC United, LAFC, and the Crew from selection of a player on Wednesday night for the draft.
I'm reading here the Columbus Crew received $100,000 in general allocation money. San Diego gets a international roster spot for this season coming up. And the jersey launch, is that next weekend? No,
that
that's
jersey
already
launch
happened.
will take place this Friday at the 18th Red Shop in the Mission Valley Mall. I was going to go to that, and then I got called into work lacrosse on Friday night, so I'll be actually instead going on Sunday to the final stop of the Chrome Ball Tour at Snapdragon Stadium. I'll be there from like 10 o'clock till about 2 or 3 in the afternoon, probably.
Yeah, it says 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'll see what I'm doing. But I'm interested, to see how the knits look, and because I'm a big, jersey logo guy, and I love what the Wave have done. So I'm interested to see what the FC team does. And then, of course, hopefully make a game out there. And I just want to see Snapdragon full. I'm sick of seeing the Aztec crowds and whatever else is in there. I just want to see a capacity crowd of San Diego FC. I think that would be great. That'd bring a lot of pride in the city, I think, to have the mission that, Lennon Donovan and others have had here, the people like Machado that have bought into the team. I think it'd be great if they got off to a great start for next season. And then to have, capacity crowds, I think would be amazing to have that rivalry with the two LA teams. I think that'd be awesome too. I just can't wait to see the crowds there. I want to see how that is. Are they gonna? Oh, okay. Are they gonna have like a standing room only, like LAFC does?
Yes, They will be having, I believe, 6 sections, which is essentially the same exact. Where the student section is, the show for SDSU. I think they take up sections 134 through 140, I believe, in the end zone behind one of the goal areas. Don't know exactly where all the groups will be, but but we have 7 supporter groups, James, and I'll tell you more about it at the show.
Yeah, I just want to go to one of those standing sections where I could just stand the whole time.
Casey agrees. Looking forward to seeing a game for SDFC at the new stadium, and need to get to that stadium again. I love it. I know that it's been a little bit rough with the field conditions, but it is what it is. And with that, James, back to the other version of football, but in college, my friend. The bracket officially came out at the end of the season on Sunday. for Selection Day, James. And this is, of course, James, the first year of the new 12-team playoff format. Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, Arizona State are 1 through 4 with first-round byes. It'll be Texas versus Clemson, 5 versus 12. Penn State, SMU, 6 versus 11. Notre Dame and Indiana, 7 versus 10. And then Ohio State and Tennessee, 8 versus 9. Again, the top 4 seeds getting a first-round bye, while seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8 all get home games on campus starting on the 20th, I believe, in across college football. So, James, here is the age-old, boring, tiresome question about college football postseason. James, did the committee get this right?
I haven't heard that in a long time. Yeah, not having Alabama's the right decision. Being 13th and having SMU in there, I felt like was a better team this year, of course. And, you know, with the 3 losses for the Tide, I felt like they shouldn't have got in. So that's great to see that. Not for, you know, Alabama got in, you know, the 4 last year and probably shouldn't have. And I know they made a run, but, you know, at least justice went through this time. Yeah, I think they got it right all over the board here. You know, Clemson fought their way to win that ACC championship, you know, Saturday over SMU. So I think both deserve to get in no matter what. I'm happy that was the case. What else? Yeah, Georgia deserved that second spot. You know, I'm just happy for Arizona State to win the Big 12 championship, to get that bye, the first year in that conference, whatever the hell that is. What was their the nickname of their mascot on the side of the helmet this
Sparky
year?
the
Sparky, thank you. Like I never knew that guy's name or whatever, but we have intriguing matchups like Clemson and Texas. Texas is favored by a lot, but I feel like Clemson has the fortitude and they have the coach to get it done. And Ewers keeps getting hurt. It's going to be on Archie Manning. Tennessee going into Ohio State. You know, you have Tennessee going into a cold atmosphere. That rarely happens. So that's going to be fun, but I think Ohio State's going to take care of business there. SMU and Penn State, I'm afraid for SMU. I think they're going to get blown out by Penn State. But the thing is, Penn State, they haven't beaten anybody good under James Franklin. But I don't think they're at that point yet. They're just playing SMU. And then Indiana, Notre Dame. God,
I guarantee a school from Indiana will win the game.
There you go. I think this is where Indiana's run stops, but it's been a tremendous year. I've loved what they've done.
They're not going away anytime soon.
I hope not. They built so much there with the first year coach. Notre Dame, and I hate Notre Dame, of course. That's why I talk like that whenever I have to mention them. They're probably going to win that game, but I just really want chaos all over the board. I want upsets. I want all that happening. It's like Casey King mentioned, it's wide open. But hopefully it continues as they get to the quarterfinals and semifinals. Hopefully it gets even crazier. I like this NFL type of style of a postseason. I think it's now, again, I don't want to piss you off or whatever, but I like this more than waiting for the, you know, lesser bowls. I want to have focus instead of like having 3 weeks off before, you know, getting to those 6 bowls, the ones that really mean something. I love this part because not only you have teams like hosting for once a postseason game, but you actually have like games with, you know, great players, and they won't sit out bowls. They won't sit out these games like they did in the past. So that's why I'm going to love this more than, you know, the previous formations or formats, I should say.
Yeah, again, I'll be eager to see if it actually works, because I think, James, that we still might have that one game like Penn State beating SMU like 75-0, and
Feels like
they're
it.
like, why did you do this? I told you so. It was not going to work because there's going to be one game. It's going to be 75-0, and it's the greatest thing ever. It's like, no, I'd rather watch the Holiday Bowl where it's Syracuse playing Wazoo first before we have to get to all this other college football malarkey, basically. But that's besides the point, though. I want to give it a shot to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I think we still might be in the neighborhood, though, for like one or two or a couple of those, really bad blowout games.
And that's like in the NFL. That happens as well with the wild card. Sometimes you'll have 3 bad games and 3 good ones or whatever. The SWAC championship, Jackson State beat Southern 41-13. So Jackson State, despite losing Coach Prime a couple of years ago,
still on the winning ways, baby.
So I love seeing that. Of course, the SEC championship went to Georgia over Texas. It was weird seeing Texas in Atlanta, and that
like,
it wasn't on.
What? And then, what is this?
And then the fact it wasn't on CBS, that just threw me off.
It was on ABC and ESPN.
I was on my way to the arena. Clemson won by a field goal over SMU. Then you had Penn State losing to number 1 Oregon 45-37. That was weird too, having Oregon in Indy for the Big Ten championship.
What? What's going on here? Who flung geography?
Yeah, and then that was weird. What was it for the Sun Belt Championship? Marshall beat the Raging Cajuns 31-3. You'll probably get to the FCS championships, but I can't wait for this weekend coming. Oh, one more thing too. I got to mention this. I saw this on Instagram. So this graduate assistant coach retired, and then he unretired to play 1 game, and he threw 7 touchdowns in the 62-0 blowout. This guy named Michael Lindire, Southern Illinois graduate assistant. A few years ago, he was a walk-on behind Desmond Ridder at Cincinnati. Last spring, he retired to be the assistant coach. But on Saturday, Southern Illinois did not have the quarterback for the regular season finale. So he still had eligibility. He was a 5th-year senior. He's only thrown 27 passes in 5 years before the game on Saturday. So he suited up, and he balled out in his first and probably last career start, of course. But he went 20 for 33, 283 yards passing, and then 7 touchdowns, which was a school record. Southern Illinois went 4-8, but it was a tremendous finale for Lindire. It kind of reminds me of that goalie in hockey. I can't remember what team he played for, but remember he had to step in because all the goalies were hurt.
Scott Ayers, who was the emergency backup goalie for the Carolina Hurricanes, and he beat the Maple Leafs, and he happened to be the Zamboni driver at their practice rink right down the road.
That's what this reminded me of, so I had to get that in.
That's
since
awesome.
Hockey cold fever going around. It just reminded me of that, but it's also a crazy thing like in a movie or in college sports. If you have eligibility, we've seen like old seniors out there playing basketball and football. It's happened. So these things happen in college football. That's why college sports can be cool sometimes.
Casey also wanted to say that he believes that Indiana can pull off the upset on Notre Dame, and it's going to be interesting to see football in December in South Bend. He also has Ohio State beating Tennessee, but then I think Ohio State gets beat by Oregon in round number 2. He also believes that they got the right teams in, and glad that Alabama did not get in. James, I'm actually going to run through no FCS tonight because college basketball is also in full swing, my friend. The Week 6 top 25 poll is out. What's about chaos, folks? We have a new number 1 team in men's college hoops. Tennessee has jumped to the number 1 spot in men's college basketball, followed up by Auburn, Iowa State, Duke, and Kentucky 1 through 5. Marquette, Alabama, Gonzaga, Florida, and Kansas check in 6 through 10. Purdue, Oregon, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Houston check in 11 through 15, while it's Clemson, Texas A&M, UConn, Ole Miss, and Wisconsin 16 through 20. And then rounding up a top 25 is Michigan State, Cincinnati, San Diego State, UCLA, and Mississippi State. Others who got votes: Baylor, ASU, Memphis, Mizzou, Penn State, Arkansas, Drake, Pitt, Utah State, Illinois, St. John's, Maryland, Dayton, Creighton, West Virginia, Indiana, UNC, Georgia, St. Mary's, Texas, Rhode Island, and Loyola, Chicago. Baylor, Memphis, Pitt, Illinois, and UNC all dropped out of the top 25 in men's college hoops. Over now to the top 25 for NCAA Division I women's basketball. No change at the top. UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, LSU, and USC 1 through 5. Texas, Maryland, Notre Dame, Duke, and Oklahoma 6 through 10. Ohio State, TCU, Kansas State, UNC, West Virginia 11 through 15. With Kentucky, Michigan State, Iowa State, Tennessee, and Michigan 16 through 20. With Iowa State, North Carolina State, Ole Miss, Nebraska, and Georgia Tech 21 through 20. With others receiving votes including Alabama, Illinois, Cal, Stanford, Vanderbilt, Utah, Louisville, South Dakota State, Richmond, Creighton, Oklahoma State, Texas Tech, Harvard, Florida State, and Baylor. Alabama, Illinois, Louisville all out of the top 25 in college hoops. With that in mind, James, we had quite a weekend, my man. So with that, to the off the board, see my friend, we get to talk about a couple of topics. A couple of topics that we're not talked about on the show tonight. James, what do you got? Got a lot of good stuff, I think.
Yeah, that's why I failed to talk with Casey King about, but we'll get to the last comments for the last part of the show, I guess. But I forgot to talk to him about USC and the basketball. But yeah, Saturday, I got the chance, and I don't know why it took so long. I've been in San Diego since 2005, or San Diego County, but I finally went to, the San Diego Sports Arena, I'll just call it, but Pechanga Arena, San Diego, for a San Diego Gulls game. And before the game, of course, I got a random ass, hat, had to represent, of course.
Yeah, buddy.
Lot to do around there, a lot to shop around there, I've noticed. A lot of restaurants, but pretty good atmosphere outside the arena and inside the arena. Found out where Kobe's swap meet is. It's just right there.
Right there.
By the time I always wondered where it was. I was like, oh yeah, there it is, but it was already closed. I would love to do that sometime. Do both. Anyway, met up with Casey King in the parking lot. Of course, he had the Ontario Reign sweater on. He's a big fan of them, and for the first time, I got to see you in your profession, doing your job. And you did so well, of course. You always do. You're always professional. You showed me the, spray chart of, all the names, pronunciations, stats, and all that. And I know that's a big thing you get from Dick Enberg is to, always be prepared on everything like that.
Always.
So I noticed you're always on that. You bring the atmosphere, you bring the crowd alive. So I commend you on all of the things that you do there at the arena with the PA announcing, of course. It was great to hear you, finally in person at an event. I always say, yeah, I'm going to go. Oh, eventually I'll go or whatever. If it works out, I want to go to another thing you do, of course, USD or whatever else sometime soon for basketball. I'll do that too. But okay. So about the arena, I'm not gonna diss it in any way, but to me, it felt so damn comfortable because I don't like the new arenas or new stadiums or whatever. So I noticed as me and you met, of course, before the game with KC, they had newer seats down low. But where me and Casey sat in the upper first section, they had the older seats, and I don't know if they ever been changed out, but those were comfortable as hell. I mean, it was so amazing, and it was like you were in a blast in the past with the texture of the seats, and then the fact that there was only like 2 levels of sections. I loved that. It was easy to get to like your seat. And I just missed that in other stadiums, which I'll talk about later with SoFi. So I loved that arena. And I know it's old. The outside looks outdated. But I just love the location, and I love the seats, and it's not as cold in there as the pond. And I'll remember that. Like I literally had to take my jacket off. It was that hot in there, but great for the fans. Luckily, I saw your teddy bear toss post. I went out and got a teddy bear, and when the goal scored
Beautiful.
their first goal, I got it to the front row, but it didn't get over the glass. And then I was hit by a teddy bear in the back of the head. Somebody tried to throw it from upper 23 down to me, and it hit me. Then I tried to throw that over, and that landed in the front row on somebody. Uh, so I love that. I know it's for a tremendous cause. What was the cause again for the teddy bear toss?
Yeah, so this is a great minor league hockey tradition, folks, that we've been doing in minor league hockey for a long time. Home team scores their first goal of the game, and fans are encouraged to bring stuffed animals, teddy bears, any sort of stuffed animal or a plush, and we donate it to organizations who help with foster families, for example. Mainly it's kids in the hospital, like at Rady Children's Hospital here in San Diego, Ronald McDonald House Charities of San Diego. And it goes to a lot of great things that really help bring some holiday cheer to, kids in the hospital or families who are going through some difficult times with either fostering, foster programs, what have you. And all the bears get donated basically after the game's over to all these worthy causes that the team usually partners up with to give the bears to when the game's over.
Okay, so I think probably the same night or the next night in Ottawa, there was a full brawl going on while the teddy bear toss was going on. I don't know if you've
Yes.
seen this.
Yeah.
Bar versus, I don't know who the bar is, but the road team. But it happened in Ottawa, it looked like. But I didn't see too big of a fight going on, but I'm just happy it was pure hockey. And again, I really enjoyed my time. I didn't think I was going to because I don't know the sport as well. And I thought I was going to freeze, but that didn't all happen. I really enjoyed listening to you, listening to your job. It is, I know it's something you enjoy doing. It beats working. So I always hear that from announcers. So I commend you on all of that. Got the souvenir cup. It's the old old pictures maybe of the grand opening of the sports arena back in the day. And luckily, we met, after the game, and you gave me a couple of things. First was a scorecard, let's just say, of the game, and
Mm-hmm.
I got to see all the stats, and I'm going to get it framed with the puck that you gave me as well. It was totally
Hey.
a shocker getting all this, and I just thank you again for that. 'Cause I wanted to get a jersey, but I was like, nah, I don't have the money, especially that blue, the throwback one. I love that, or get a hat for that one. So next time I go to a game, I'm probably gonna get one of those old school hats, the blue and orange. Um,
Yes.
the
Great look.
puck, what was it in the second period? Before the second period, I want to say they had that thing where you throw the plastic puck and try to get it in the middle
The
of
rubber
the.
pucks for Chuck-a-Puck. Yes.
Yeah,
Chuck-a-Puck. It's also a great minor league tradition.
I was standing by that booth. I'm like, what the hell is Chuck a Puck? And then they were doing it. I was like, oh crap, I should have did it. But that was also crazy. I mean, things thrown on the ice. I've seen hats. I've seen octopuses. I think in Detroit, right?
Yep. I've seen
Um,
catfish in Nashville. I've seen I think octopi even in Seattle. Or maybe some plastic salmon fish in Seattle.
okay. So that was an experience, and then hanging out with you and the buddies. I forget their names.
Dinior and Christian, yes.
Yeah, those are great guys, and the experience they talked. You guys are so knowledgeable about this everything. It was just a whirlwind of information about things I didn't know, and now I know because of y'all. So it was great. Um, and again, thank you to Casey for the ticket there and the time spent. always good to see him. It was on a better occasion because at times before with him, it would always be at a Dodger Angel game. And of course, the Dodgers would always win. And in
That is
easy
true,
fashion.
sadly.
Sadly, the Gulls lost 2-1 in a shootout. But overall, I just had a lot of fun at the game. Again, I didn't know what I was going into the first experience, but having you there really helped. Knowing that, hey, I know that voice. The hell, that's the first time I've known someone on the mic. So that's a memory to remember.
We've only known each other for like 10 years, James, if not
More.
longer.
I think it's like 2012 or 11.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So it's great. But it's the only time seeing you in person 3 times. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
It's gotta be more. So
Eventually.
had a, ride back to Oceanside, and then I had to get up kind of early the next morning. Pulled a double header out of where with my friend in Inglewood. So the Rams, of course, played the Bills, and I know we talked about the game. They're handing out LA Ram trading cards. They were promoting the LA Bowl. That's the Gronk one with UNLV and Cal. I think are playing each
Cal
other
and
there.
UNLV.
Say, hey, are you going to be able to make it? It's a Wednesday, December 18th. I'm like,
no.
Nah. If it was free, I still want to go. But I gotta
work the next day, people.
Yeah, and that night, so there's no way I would go.
Yeah, we both have to work on the 19th. It's my niece's birthday too. I feel like I'm the bad uncle now all of a sudden.
So getting that stuff going in, I wasn't expecting. It's little stuff. I'm gonna probably give the cards to my dad. He's a big Ram fan. But okay, going into SoFi, it was my friend's first time, and he never been inside before. He refuses to give any money to the other team there, so that's why he never went to a game before.
Smart man.
So he chose the Ram game. So when I go into SoFi, and I was telling him about it, I was like, I don't want to water down your thoughts about it, but the roof, and I don't want to piss off Casey King, but the roof is the old Rams logo that they don't use, and it's from St. Louis. It's the
yep,
whatever that. So that's wrong from there, and it's just like a weird roof that has like little panels or whatever, and rain can still come through. Not just that,
it's open air in the end zones.
And then, I was telling my friend about that. Open air, you don't really feel any wind, depending on where you are. If you sit too high, it's like a glass house. So luckily, we were in the 200 section. And again, I had the great view of plays opening up from the back. So it was like watching a Madden video game and how plays develop. And then I always have to mention this. The Rams games that I've been to in the past, they've always had nice fans. Like, I've never met a bad Ram fan, ever. And they were so cordial and nice to each other. Same thing with all the Bills fans in the Mafia. I didn't get to see the tailgates, but...
man, you missed out.
Probably. They probably brought the tables or got them at the local Home Depot down the street. Yeah.
True Value.
Costco down the street as well. You get tables there. Or borrow a Ram fan table. But the atmosphere was great because Casey, I told my friend that. I was like, hey, the Rams, I loved when they were at the Coliseum. I went in 2018 when they played that other team and they won. I took my dad, and it was just a great experience at the Coliseum because it was like going back in the past. They were wearing the blue and white like they did in the 60s. So it was great to see that. And I remember telling my friend, I was like, I wish they were still at the Coliseum. All the new stadiums look the same inside. They just happen to have different designs outside. And then the seating
names,
sponsored name, corporate names. And then everything is satired with like clubs and suites and places you can go and places you can't go unless you have a special ticket for it or pass. And then there's like 1,200 sections, like levels that we
It's like a
walked.
7 or 8 level stadium. Like, give me a break.
Yeah, and I think we walked it all. It goes, yeah,
I walked it
500.
all seeing the Rolling Stones there 3 years ago.
Yeah, so and basically everything, all the concessions or stores or whatever, it's all the same on every level, except there's just like club and seats or whatever.
Right.
So it just feels mundane in a way. It feels plain. Like it, and I think the only experience which is good for someone if they don't really care about the game is to sit in those field suites. And that's for like people that I'll never get to the same level as, which I don't mind. I'd rather be where I was instead of down there where you can't see the game. So the fun game, again, 44-42, the Rams held on. Great offensive game. The fans, again, they were so cordial to one another. They were laughing about the scoring, going back and forth. It wasn't like a hostile atmosphere at all, at least where I was. And that's what I loved about it. It reminded me of the time of that Ram game at the Coliseum where I was literally brought a bag of Tostitos Ram chips with me. And literally, I was passing it around my area, and everybody was grabbing, a handful. It reminded me of that, the camaraderie between the Bills and the Rams fans. I absolutely love that. I wish that was at every stadium, but you only see the bad stuff on your phones. That's the bad part. Okay, so me and my friend, after the game, sun started to go down. The planes were flying overhead in 2 different flight paths. We made the journey over through Hollywood Park with the stores that were not open. I kind of wanted to see what was around there, and there wasn't too much around there. Christmas music going. I guess, yeah. We made our way over to the new Intuit Dome, and I was blown away by the colors. I was blown away by the artsy type of designs. What was the Clipper ship that you mentioned again with what it stands for, or what the wording was of that, the creator?
Oh yeah, one of the LA based artists has a neon sculpture word mark that reads, we may have all come on different ships, but we're now all in the same boat.
And I kind of felt that with some people. It was a lot of hearing like me saying, "Oh, it's my first time here. I can't believe it." So, okay, at first I had to complain because the night before I had to download the Intuit Dome app, and it's like you had to get all this information on the app, so it'd make it easier, supposedly, just to walk through everything. And damn it, that's what happened. It was a crazy experience. I felt like I was stealing everything, but I really wasn't. They charged me later, trust me. So yeah, the
$100.
What I love about it, they have these spontaneous shirt deals. So I was able to get. Oh, where is it?
Yeah, buddy.
Let's say, what was it? The City Connect City Edition hat, I think it was. And then
James got his red, baby. James got his red.
Yeah, I'd rather wear red.
For them Clippers.
What I always wanted instead of a hoodie, I wanted a shirt with this font on it. So with the cursive, I'm happy they brought back the cursive for their new uniforms, and it's lovely. So I got that. I also got a reusable cup. I'm definitely gonna go back and
fandom lives here at Intuit Dome.
So walking in, I was like, man, how the hell am I gonna pay for stuff? But it's all on the app. All you gotta do is just tap the phone everywhere you go and grab what you want and go. I'm like, what?
You'll get a bill at the end of the night.
Yeah, and that's when I bought the merch. I was like, oh, I don't have to. Oh, cool. Okay.
James, I could just tell that you felt like you were shoplifting all night at Intuit Dome, didn't you?
Well, yeah, definitely. So me and my friend walked around the whole arena, like all the levels, just to check it out. So from the top all the way to as far as down as we could. One thing about it, it felt like SoFi Stadium with the Halo board, but you felt closer, and that's what the whole thing was. The draw for Intuit was like, for Bomber, was like, hey, everybody is closer and louder to the arena. So the wall was there. and that was amazing to hear that all night. I just wish the wall was actually like bigger. It's only like one little rectangle section of the wall, and then you have the rest of the seats. Um,
Almost like a supporters group for MLS or for soccer. They got the idea from
that's what
one
I
of the
got.
famed Bundesliga teams over in Germany. It's been duplicated across all of Major League Soccer here in the States, including in San Diego.
So the next time I go, I want to get one of those wall seats just to stand there. But getting to my seat, I was right next to the radio booth, so I saw Carlo Jimenez. I gave him a shout out. I said, Carlo, I love what you do. Um, I love what you do on Instagram, And he said, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah.
He was running back and forth, and getting ready for the game. He's so youthful, the energy, the joy, the calling of the games. He's amazing like that. So, and then Jim Jackson and Brian Seaman, the TV crew, was right there as well.
FanDuel Sportsnet.
That's weird, all these different changes. But I did like having them next to me there because I think with Brian Seaman, I've set up there sometimes in the premier level of Staples, and I remember seeing him up there. So it was kind of a flashback to that. The seats were very comfortable. It had, a charging cord. It had a thing where you can vote. They had 4 buttons on your armrest that had a cup holder, so it felt like a damn movie theater. I was like, hey, this is something that doesn't happen at arenas. So that was pretty cool to see. The Halo board is like literally right there. It's not in the way of the court, luckily.
And that's good. That's really good, though.
That's what I was worried about when they had the first views of everything under construction. I was like, can you see the court, or is the board going to be in the way? But the Halo board is just amazing because you have all the stats on one side that you need. And then you have 4 different replays of a play. That blew me away because you can see every foul at 4 different angles, every big play at 4 different angles. That's something that nobody has. It's great to see that. The seats were very comfortable. The AC was on, so I love that as well. Because I bought multiple layers of shirts, so that was great. Again, everything was so easy going through just with the access, so that was great. And then I guess to end the night, the beginning of the night before we went in, I got a couple shots up at the plaza courts or basketball court. So I made a 3 that's been on video, and I love that part about it where you can go before the game and get shots up, and that you don't see that anywhere. I got a picture of the training facility that they have there in the Intuit Dome. And then they had the jerseys.
The boards, I believe, James, if memory serves me correct, is open to the public too, where you can literally walk in and play a pickup game when the Clippers are done practicing or if they're on the road.
Right. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. And then of course they have in the concourse they have all California high school jerseys of basketball on the walls. I was trying to find mine.
Represented from the whole state.
I found, San Marcos, Chula Vista, Poway, Carlsbad, Escondido, St. Augustine for my friend. I couldn't find Downey, but I'll have multiple attempts to find it, or Oceanside too.
And I need to find my alma mater too, Kearney High.
I think I saw that one.
Hey, let's go.
I want to see Mar Vista as well down in South Bay, San Diego. So that was great to see that. I just wish they had it in alphabetical order or county order. That would make it easier to find. But that would be like a OCD type of job that I wouldn't mind doing. I would love to do that. So overall, I had a crazy fun experience. 3 different sports in 2 days. I've never done that. I've done 3 baseball games in 3 days. What was it? What was it? I think it was an Angel game Friday, then 2 Padre games Saturday, and a Sunday afternoon. But this was hockey, this was football, this was basketball, and it was just amazing to experience it. I can't thank again enough of you, Casey King, my friend Tom, your friends as well. And then, all the great ushers I've met that made everything nice at Intuit Dome, at SoFi, at Pachanga Arena. Everybody was so helpful with the seating and, trying to find my way around places that I haven't been or I forgot about SoFi. It's something I don't know if I'll ever do again, but I have souvenirs of the places, and I'm just blessed to know people like you and the others, and then to have the ability to make make the long trips from San Diego back home in between, Inglewood back home. I was just amazed by the architecture again at all three places, but again, I really enjoyed the sports arena more than everything else, just because I like things in the past and having those musical artists on the walls. I love taking pictures of those. Right away I saw Steven Tyler, Aerosmith. Right away I had to get a picture of that. I think that was maybe my first one. I was like, oh, I know. Oh, they have them here. So I love seeing that. And John Wooden was on the wall too. I think Bill Walton
Last
was
national
blocked.
title.
That's what, my I think Casey mentioned. But man, I had a weekend, and I came back, of course, with a headache this morning, but I didn't care because I experienced everything I wanted. And again, it was just great to hear you at work, and I can't wait for the next time.
A couple of thoughts from Casey King we kind of missed a little bit. I'll just kind of run through these real quick. He first says, as for his Trojans in football, I think they need to part ways with Lincoln Riley. They continue to go backwards each year and that he's been here, and they continue to lose players in the portal and losing recruits. Not sure who they should bring in, but something should change, as James alludes to, though. Too much money, perhaps. Casey also says about college hoops, wide open. It will be wide open going down the stretch as well. And also that USC's women's team is off to a great start. I love Juju Watkins. She is so fun to watch right now. That's right. Casey also agrees, though, James, that he loves the sports arena in San Diego. Seats are comfortable, and there's also good views as well.
No bad
seat. He also said that, not a bad seat whatsoever. And Casey will also says, I hope to get back to another San Diego, Ontario game later this season. Always. Casey comes to like a lot of those games all the time. I think James agrees. Clippers have to put a statue of Ralph Lawler up somewhere at the new arena. And in perspective, Casey did 4 games in 4 different arenas on his recent trip out here. He did 2 NHL games and 2 AHL games. So he did the Kings, the Ducks, the Coachella Valley Firebirds in Palm Springs, and then did the Gulls in Rain before going back home. So Casey, he goes on these trips, man, and it's just amazing with what he's able to do. I guess kind of like, James, you're staying with what you said about going off the board, about like first-time experience at a building or at a stadium. I got 3 places that come to mind. Fenway Park first comes to mind. I got to go to Fenway for a Red Sox game in 2004, so the year they won the World Series and broke the curse of the Bambino. So it was me, my mom and dad, and my older brother, and we went and saw family back in Connecticut and got to see them play the Tigers. We sat right behind Pesky's pole in right field. It was bombing hot on a hot August day. Jason Varitek hit a homer off the pole, which was cool to see. Boston sports fans, man, they are a whole nother breed, but they were very cool people. I was wearing a Padre hat, and maybe a couple of drunk fans gave me shit or whatever. And I'm like in 4th grade, and one of them's like, "Don't mind my friend. I love what the hat," because it was the '84 era Padre hat with the yellow front and the brown. But still, though, passionate sports fans. And Fenway was just really like James, you said, though, that old school feel of going into an arena or a stadium. That's a 1910, 1912 era stadium. We couldn't get to the monster seats, but still, though, that was incredible being there. Then the original Yankee Stadium, got to go there for a game in 2006. Got to hear the legendary Bob Shepard. They also played the Tigers, which was pretty funny. It was on my mom's birthday. We were going to go take the tour of the ballpark, but the game the previous night got rained out. So we got tickets to the day game instead. Again, like, holy cow, this is where Babe Ruth played. This is where Maris hit 61 home runs over, surpassing Ruth. This is where Mantle played. Reggie Jackson played, like all that history, all that nostalgia and history. Again, Yankee fans, hearing the bleacher creatures yell out Johnny Damon's name, dun, 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 from right field.
Yeah.
But again, New York sports fans, how they are, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. I didn't get a chance to go to a game, but I got to tour Madison Square Garden. That was insane. We got to go. This was after they redid it in 2015. I actually had a deal lined up with my friend Candace Wiggins, who played for the Liberty in 2015 in the WNBA. But we were staying in Cooperstown near Albany. It was just too far to go to get there in time for a game. And still, we went and toured it. It was incredible. They had just put the ice in for the Rangers hockey season. So they took us to the locker rooms of the Knicks and the Rangers. They talked about why it was built in a circle. It was done. It was they did it because Mark Messier said when he was captaining the Rangers, build it circular because we can. It's easier to hold everyone accountable when we screw up during the course of a game. So they built every locker room in the Garden in a circle shape and not a giant rectangle box.
Okay.
So it'd be easier to go around the room and say, Gonzales, pick it up. Let's go. We can't keep playing like this. And they also changed the carpet for which team is in there. So Knicks, Liberty, when they were there, or the Rangers, they changed the carpet and then changed some of the graphics in there for who was there. We saw where MSG does their pregame coverage. We saw where Phil Jackson had his office when he was still the president of basketball operations for the Knicks. Then we went on to the top of the building, Chase Bank, because now it's called MSG, sponsored by Chase. They built these bridges. These are actual sections on the roof of the arena where it's like a straight-on vertical bird's eye view over the basketball court or over the rink of play when it comes to the Rangers. And then the Knicks have all their banners up on one side of the arena and retired numbers. The Rangers are on the opposite side. We were literally, James, so high up, I could literally touch Brian Leach's retired number 2 jersey for the Rangers. It was that high in the air. It's full, and it's got full-fledged, bar service and concessions and bathrooms. It's like 4 rows of seats, so it's like a literal vertical bird's eye view of the basketball court or also of the rink, though. And then even better or cooler, much like when they did this with Taylor Swift at Staples Center, Billy Joel has a banner up for consecutive sold-out shows, though, at the Garden, too. Would have loved to have seen a game there, though, but it was incredible. I bought a bunch of Liberty gear when I was there. My mom has a Rangers shirt. And then I think the other place I'd say, James, is probably T-Mobile Arena in Vegas where the Golden Knights play. I got to go to a preseason game, and it wasn't quite the full-fledged spectacle, though, that they do. Then me and my gal pal went to a game for Christmas 2 years ago. They played the Blues, and it was incredible. The arena, very awesome. The pregame pageantry, again, the whole Vegas-style intro show, of the Golden Knight having to fight off, a flag bearer of the opposing team. The cool part, though, about T-Mobile, James, is they do a 51-49 raffle. So if you win, you get 1% more than a 50-50 for one thing.
Wow.
There's no slots. You can't gamble at the game when you're at T-Mobile during the course of the NHL, sadly. I think you can for UFC. But you walk in, though, you go up the escalator, and then it drops you off right at the lower bowl of the seats. But the cool part, though, about T-Mobile during a Knights game, on the, I'm trying to think, north, south, on the western side, I think, they had this giant, like how the Raiders had the windows that show the strip from Allegiant. The Knights have a giant 360 panorama view of the strip at night.
Yep.
And then right below it, they have they have a castle for their in-game entertainment. They have their drum line, their cheerleaders. It's an actual, castle. It says, "Welcome to the Fortress." Then right above it, James, they have one banner for every NHL team that they play, and it's all done by division. They will light up the Vegas one, obviously, and then whoever the opponent is has their banner lit up like you're at an actual medieval era, night fight, basically. Like this is medieval times in Buena Park by where where you used to live, but with a hockey game. It's definitely a slice of Vegas when it comes to live entertainment. With the showgirls before the game who go and stand behind the visiting net to distract them during warm-ups, and then the whole pageantry of the pregame show with the lighting projections, and then the mascot comes out and fights off the intruders of the visiting team. And then you have the actual game on top of all this. And then you hear Panic at the Disco sing Vegas Lights when they scored a goal. Like, it was incredible. And I think we paid like $50 for our tickets, I think, because it was right around Christmas time. But even then, like, oh my goodness, it was incredible. I'd love to go back in if I ever had time. And again, I've done Honda Center, I've done Staples Center, I've done stuff, done all that. But I think those are probably, James, my 4 most impressive venues I've been to in my lifetime, like you were saying about your experience this past weekend.
Yeah, unfortunately, in October of 2019, the Knights were in Detroit. They had a watch party at a casino, but they were not home, or else I would have gone to a game there. And was it 2019 is when they made the finals and lost to Washington?
Yeah, it was their first year, and that was also after the shooting took place at Mandalay Bay at the Jason Aldean Route 91 concert, where they also retired the number 58 in honor of all those who were killed that day.
We all saw that from the playoff games and the finals games, the pre-game stuff, and the whole show that you mentioned. I just love the flag deal, where you have all the teams represented. And I know expansion teams did that before in other leagues. It also reminded me of like NBA draft time. They would have all the banners of teams in the background, at least when it was in big arenas.
How about back in the day in baseball where it wasn't ads on the outfield wall?
I was just going to say that.
In Major League Baseball.
The circles, the white circles, and the teams there. I miss that part about it. I miss that because, let's say someone who's never been to a game, they're not going to know all the teams, and you could just say, hey, that's them, this is them,
Anaheim, Calgary, Edmonton, Los Angeles, Seattle, San Jose, Vegas, Vancouver.
I love that because
there's your whole Pacific Division right there.
I love that because I collected Pogs back in the day, and I would put them in divisional order. And I was only like, I don't even remember how old I was, like 2, 3, 4 years old. But I put them in, that order. So that just reminded me of that. I think I don't know if the Clippers did that at the sports arena sometimes, but I know when the Olympics were there, but the summer or the fall after the Clippers played their first season in LA, they still had the flags of every country hanging in the sports arena. It's rare to find footage, but when they played the Knicks or the Lakers at the sports arena the first year the Clippers were there, you could see all the countries represented, up in the dark arena wall, but you can see the flags there. So that reminded me of that. I got to get to a game, of course, with the Raiders, but to Vegas there with the Knights. I've been meaning to get out back to Vegas, and hopefully soon rather than later. I know Casey's been there plenty of times.
And Casey also says we got to get the Climate Pledge in Seattle, which was Key Arena, which is now the new home of the Kraken. You can see the Space Needle through the glass window from your seat, and cool when it's lit up in the evening.
Really?
And Casey also wanted to remind us it was 76 that sponsored the Dodgers.
Yep.
At Chavez Ravine, and they still have the gas station, I think, out there in center field.
I still do. That's one thing I remember Hacksaw, I think, talking about today was the 15 ads from Japan and how a lot of them are on the center field wall or the outfield wall and behind home plate.
Of the pavilion, yeah.
Yeah, and they have them inside the concourses and all that now. It's just, I miss the days where it's not like Major League 2 where everything is on the wall in Cleveland. I miss the days where it was the sports logos or just the numbers.
James, you do know that they didn't shoot Major League at freaking
well, Major League 2 was in Baltimore, but the thing was they needed money for the team, so they started putting advertising on the outfield walls. But it has become where there's
I think Major League 1 was shot in Milwaukee at Old County Stadium. Yeah.
So they moved into the new building in Major League 2, but they had to make money. So they put all these advertisements on the outfield wall, and there's hardly any space for like anything else that was the color of the wall. And that reminds me of Dodger Stadium now, where it's just all advertisements.
Yeah, I remember when Qualcomm kind of began doing that in the 90s. I think we only had we had an ad for the San Diego Zoo, because that was when we first got the pandas in town in 97, 98. And then, Qualcomm,
Legoland.
Bud Light, Saquon, Legoland opening spring of 1999. Carl's Jr. may have been on the out-of-town scoreboard, and so was
Panda Express?
No, not Panda. Panda was in Anaheim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that.
It was because Panda and Albertsons was on the scoreboard in the O2 World Series, and there may have been one Bud Light ad, like in left center field, where the wall jets out. I'm trying to remember who else they had on the. It was Bud Light. They had the Q, Qualcomm, Carl's Jr., Saquon, and there was another one that they had. Oh, Office Depot was also a sponsor of the Padres in '98. But yeah, and Casey is right. First major league film was shot at the old Milwaukee County Stadium, and then they went to Memorial Stadium, I believe, in Baltimore for Major League 2.
Camden Yards.
Yes, Camden Yards. And then, yes, Angels in the Outfield was shot in Oakland because the Northridge earthquake toppled the scoreboard in Anaheim, California.
What was the one, not the Night Professor, but the one with the dancing umpire? That was at Dodger Stadium, but it was the Angels. Yeah. Better looking stadium.
Yeah. Maybe we better do a special show, James, where we just talk about sports movies.
I could do that
eventually. I think I saved something that we can probably do on the last show of the year in a couple of weeks. Again, folks, as a quick reminder before we get off the air finally here at almost 1 o'clock in the morning on this Tuesday, again, folks, our last show for this year, for 2024, will be in 2 weeks' time on the 23rd at 10 p.m. Pacific time. And then Press Row's last show for the year, our year in review special, is on December 30th at 10 o'clock Pacific time. So just kind of, again, keep that in mind at this time. With that, James, final thoughts finally for this now late night, early morning Tuesday.
For the final show, I've always wanted to do like a year in review, like things we like, things we didn't like, or things we'll remember. Maybe I'll that'll be like the random topic. I always like those year-end segments on like ESPN or Fox or whatever. I've always liked that. Again, great seeing you in your line of work, of course, and hearing it at the place. And great seeing Casey King and everybody else, and my friend Tom. And it's something I'll never forget.
A great weekend for sure, James, and there'll be plenty more to come when the time rolls around. With that in mind, though, folks, great to have Casey King on board tonight. Again, Casey, thanks for coming out, my man. Really means a lot. Also, a big thanks to Brent DeMoss, who joined us earlier, and also Christy Wilson, who also joined us earlier in the evening. We'll see you folks back here again next Monday, 10 p.m. for our second to last show for the year. For James Gonzales, Callan McClurg saying good night or good morning and good day. We'll see you folks back here again, as mentioned, next week, back here on C2C. Till next time, folks, have a great night and a great day. Till then, bye-bye.